Chapter 181 Special Forces. After the battle with Masao Okada, no one dared to underestimate Tashinao anymore. After all, everyone has seen Masao Okada's end, and no one wants to be the next Masao Okada. This battle directly made Dong Shenyao establish his own majesty in the camp, and the elite Jonin also regarded him as an existence of the same level. Of course, there are pros and cons. Tashinao used Okada to be able to give birth to his prestige, and he was happy. But Okada will be unlucky. After all, he can't even beat a person who has just become Jonin, which makes many people begin to question his strength, which makes Okada hate Dong Shenyao to death. Chances are he doesn't mind killing Dong Shenyao. Not only Okada Masao, but also others are also eyeing Tashinao, that is the Uchiha family. The encounter between Uchiha Ping and Uchiha Liang was soon known to the Uchiha clan in the camp, and they learned that Dong Shenyao had humiliated the Uchiha clan, which made other Uchiha clansmen angry, and some even went directly to Dong Shenyao. The trouble was finally stopped by the elders of Uchiha, and the matter calmed down temporarily. Uchiha clan, who have already set their sights on Dong Shenyao, will definitely not give up. However, he ignored these Dong Shenyao for the time being. After Masao Okada left, he had already received the news of the completion of the mission and received 3,000 god-making points again. Dong Shenyao was still very happy. To Sarutobi Hiruzen and others, Tashinao followed Uehara back to the place where their reinforcements rested. "Yao, I didn't expect your strength to be so strong." Uehara Kai looked at Dong Shenyao, who was already taller than him, his eyes filled with memories. "Mr. Chi, thank you for your cultivation," Dong Shenyao said gratefully. "Yao, don't compliment me. I didn't teach you much. Your achievements are mainly because you are talented and willing to work hard," Uehara said in a bitter tone. It is indeed an honor as a teacher to have a talented disciple, but if the disciple is too talented, the teacher will also have a headache because he does not know what to teach. Just like Tashinao, Uehara K did not teach Tashinao too much, so every time he saw Tashinao, Uehara Ki was a little ashamed, because he was too incompetent as a teacher. "You are my teacher no matter what," Dong Shenyao said respectfully. He did this from the bottom of his heart. After all, when he didn't really grow up, Uehara K taught him a lot of things. "Yao, I'm very happy to be your teacher no matter what, and I agree with what you did today, but Masao Okada is not a generous person, and today's events will definitely make him hold a grudge, you be careful." "Teacher, don't worry, I will pay attention. And he is just a defeated general, so what if he is not reconciled?" Dong Shenyao said disdainfully. It's not that he is arrogant, but he really didn't take Okada Masao in his eyes. Today, he hasn't used his full strength, at least because of the terrain, he didn't use the meteorite fall. After all, the meteorite falls too far, and once it is used, the training ground will be destroyed. "Yao, don't be careless, Okada Masao was indeed defeated by you today, but this does not mean that his strength is not good, it is just because of the environment and the Jonin technique that you restrained him, so he will be defeated. In terms of the water environment, it is still unclear who wins and who loses," Uehara Kyu said earnestly. "Teacher, I remember." Dong Shenyao didn't get too arrogant this time, but humbly accepted Kai Uehara's suggestion. After returning to the camp, Kei Uehara and the others quickly separated. "Yao, you're back, how is it interesting?" Kudo-jun hurriedly asked after seeing Dong Shenyao. Although Tashinyao's changes in the fort yesterday made Kudo-shun a little terrified, but he is a person with rough nerves, and it has only been a day since he returned to normal again. "What's the point? I'm bored to death," Dong Shenyao pouted. "But I'm afraid we're going to separate." Immediately, Dong Shenyao talked about the assignment of the ninjas. Fumino Kimura is good at demonic illusion and will be assigned to the demonic illusion unit. Although Kudo-shun was good at taijutsu, he did not have a taijutsu unit, so he was assigned to a comprehensive unit, and the three of them were going to be separated. After hearing Dong Shenyao's words, Kudo-shun and the two did not react at all. Obviously, they knew it for a long time, so they were psychologically prepared. After all, this is not the first time they have come to the battlefield. Although the last time was basically a fight, but at least they still understood some things. Yao, this time is a good time for you to show off your skills, and your fame will surely spread throughout the ninja world. Kudo Shun looked at Dongshin Yao with admiration on his face. Brother Jun, don't tout me. My strength is far worse than that of the real powerhouse. How can I be famous in the ninja world? Dong Shenyao still has self-knowledge. If it's a few years later, Dong Shenyao will be confident to become famous, but now, Dong Shenyao can only shake his head. Don't look at when he was an Anbu, the emperor's reputation was not small, but even if he had some reputation among the ninjas of the same level, those strong people would not care about him. Wait, sooner or later I will make everyone remember me. Dong Shenyao swore secretly in his heart. In a blink of an eye, the night passed, and after breakfast the next day, people from various units came over and began to select their subordinates. Because they were all allocated yesterday, the selection speed was very fast, but within 2 hours, everyone was selected by the people of each army. At this time, looking at the middle-aged man in front of him, Dong Shenyao was stunned. Hello Tashinyao, my name is Yoshikawa Jiro. The middle-aged man greeted with a smile on his face. Ah, hello. Tashinyao was a little confused. He didn't know what Yoshikawa Jiro was looking for him. He remembered that Yoshikawa Jiro was the commander of the special forces. But the special team is a bit special, because all the special teams are elites, and the worst is Jonin, and they are not ordinary Jonin, they all have special talents, or the combat power exceeds the existence of ordinary Jonin. Therefore, the commanding position of the special forces is one level higher than that of other commanders, and is the same as that of the deputy commander. Dong Shenyao didn't understand what such a powerful person wanted to do for him. East Shenyao, I know that you have doubts in your heart, and I won't give a shit anymore. To put it simply, I have a crush on you. What? After hearing Yoshikawa Jiro's words, Tashinyao suddenly became tight. Chapter 182 War Begins. Hearing Yoshikawa Jiro, Tashinyao felt a chill and took a step back next time. This Yoshikawa Jiro doesn't have any special hobbies, right? Tashinyao thought in his heart, and the eyes he looked at Yoshikawa Jiro couldn't help but look weird. Cough cough. Yoshikawa Jiro was a little hairy at the sight of Tashinyao, and immediately coughed and said, Don't misunderstand that Tashinyao, I like women, you can rest assured. Obviously Yoshikawa Jiro also found himself the language problem, so I quickly explained. Hearing this, Dong Shenyao let out a long sigh of relief. East Shenyao, I came to see you this time because I wanted you to join our special team. Yoshikawa didn't beat around the bush, and directly stated his intentions. Join the special forces. Dong Shenyao was stunned when he heard the words. That's right, I didn't choose you because I didn't know your strength before, and you were a disciple of Kai Uehara. But the battle between you and Okada Masaru gave me a glimpse of your strength, so I didn't choose you. I now want to invite you to join the special forces. Dong Shenyao was a little hesitant. He didn't want to join the special team, but he was so sincere to invite, Dong Shenyao was a little embarrassed to refuse. Tashinyao, don't rush to make a decision, please listen to me first. I know you have a close relationship with Uehara Kai, and with him, you will be very safe in the Doden Earth-style unit. But you are a genius, a real genius, so I hope you can join the special team, because here you will accept all kinds of challenges, which can make you grow faster. Quote. Hearing Yoshikawa Jiro's words, Tashinyao fell into deep thought. As for the special team, Dong Shenyao also learned about it yesterday. It is a team composed of a group of strong people, and they will perform various tasks. In addition to needing to go to the battlefield, sometimes you need to do other things. For example, go to the enemy to destroy, or besiege the strong enemy of the enemy, and so on. It can be said that the special forces are somewhat similar to Anbu, and sometimes even more dangerous than Anbu. But thinking of the dream he had just established, standing on the peak and looking down at the common people, Dong Shenyao bit Kiba and made a decision. Commander Yoshikawa, I want to discuss this matter with Teacher Chi. Ha ha ha, this is easy to say. I have already greeted Yuanchi before. He said that everything is up to you. No matter what decision you make, he will support you. Yoshikawa Jiro laughed. Teacher. Dong Shenyao didn't expect Kai Uehara to know. That's good, Commander Yoshikawa. I agree to join the Special Forces. Okay, that's great. Tashinya, I promise you won't regret this decision, because only the Special Forces are your best home. Yoshikawa Jiro is overjoyed. Everyone likes genius, and Yoshikawa Jiro is no exception. East Shenyao, then pack up and come with me. Yes. Now that the decision has been made, Tashinya will no longer delay. After going back and talking to Kudo-shun and the two, Tashinya took the package and left directly with Jiro Yoshikawa. Each unit has its own exclusive camp, as does the Special Forces. Although Yoshikawa Jiro came to find Tashinya on purpose this time, it did not mean that Tashinya was the only one who joined the special team. Among the reinforcements who came this time, many people had already been selected by Yoshikawa Jiro, and they came along at this time. However, compared with the people selected by other troops, the people selected by the Special Forces team will be much less, adding up to less than 50 people. However, these people are all strong, the weakest are Jonin, and even a few have reached the level of elite Jonin. After entering the Special Forces camp, Dong Shenyao found that the camp was not small, but there were not many people. Okay, this is the site of our Special Forces. After entering the camp, Jiro Yoshikawa stopped. Our Special Forces don't have any rules. There is only one point. You must not fight. If you want to fight, you can go to the training ground, where you can fight whatever you want, but you can't do it in the camp. As for the rest, it's fine. Usually I don't care what you do, but when you need to fight, don't be absent, or don't blame me for being rude. At the end, Jiro Yoshikawa's tone became severe, and his body even exuded a sense of urgency. Murderous look. Yes. Very well, now you can find a place to live at will. Our Special Forces have no other advantages, that is, the place is big and there are few people, so even if you want to live in a tent, it's fine. Hearing Yoshikawa Jiro's words made Tashin Yaoichi happy. He has a lot of secrets, so he really doesn't want to live with other people, but it's better now. Yoshikawa Jiro left after explaining the matter, and then Tashinyao and the others didn't stay any longer. They just dispersed in twos and threes and went to find their own place to live. Soon Dong Shenyao randomly found a free tent in the main camp and lived in it, which also means that the life of Dong Shenyao's special team has just begun. In the blink of an eye, it took 2 days for Dong Shenyao to have a general understanding of the Special Forces. The special team is indeed a concentration camp for the strong, but the number is really small. Even with the addition of more than 40 new members this time, the number is now less than 200. The reason why the number is so small is not because the Special Forces have high income conditions, but because the death rate of the Special Forces is very high. Since the start of the war, the death toll of the Special Forces has exceeded 30, which is close to a quarter of the total number of Special Forces. Although many other troops died, they were nothing compared to the overall number. From this, it can be seen how dangerous the tasks performed by the Special Forces are. On the third day after Dong Shenyao joined the Special Forces, the war finally broke out. The Special Forces assembled early in the morning, and then rushed to the battlefield under the leadership of Jiro Yoshikawa. Not only their other troops also acted, thousands of them came directly to a plain 4 miles away from the camp. After coming to the plain, Dong Shenyao looked around and found that there were also many people standing hundreds of meters away, and there were at least thousands of people in the darkness. Dong Shenyao had good eyesight and could see very clearly. Both were the forehead of Iwagakure village. Sarutobi Hiruzen is available. I saw a person flying out of the line in Iwagakure village and shouted loudly. Sarutobi Hiruzen is here. How could Sarutobi Hiruzen have weakened his position and walked straight out of the crowd? Sir Sarutobi, you should surrender and go home to drink milk, so as not to lose your life on the battlefield. Iwagakure village ninja mocked. Humph. Onoki, you are not afraid of the wind and flash your tongue. My Sarutobi's head is here, come and get it if you have the ability. Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted without showing weakness. Chapter 183 Fighter. Sarutobi Hiruzen, how dare you fight with me? As soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, Onoki flew directly to the battlefield to invite battle. Why don't you dare? Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that he couldn't be cowardly at this time, otherwise his morale would be damaged, so he directly agreed to Onoki's challenge, and then walked out of the team as well. In the end, the two stopped about 100 meters apart. Sarutobi, we haven't seen each other for several years. The two of them chatted instead of doing it directly. Yeah, we went back to the village after the last truce. I didn't expect to meet again on the battlefield. Onoki, isn't peace good? Why do we have to fight? Sarutobi Hiruzen said helplessly. Sarutobi, your country of fire is rich in materials and has a good life, but our country of land is full of rocks and resources, and if we don't fight, how can we feed so many people? Onoki was also a little helpless. If he could, who would be willing to fight, but for resources, only war can be waged. Okay Sarutobi, don't talk nonsense. Last time you narrowly beat me by a move. I have been practicing hard for the past few years, and now I have surpassed you, take it. Saying that, Onoki quickly hand-sealed with both hands. Doden, Earth-style, too-long gun. A 15-pointed rock suddenly appeared on the ground under Sarutobi Hiruzen's feet, but Sarutobi reacted quickly and avoided directly, and at the same time his ninjutsu was completed. Huh! Sarutobi Hiruzen threw several shuriken and attacked Onoki. Ninja Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. I saw that Sarutobi Hiruzen threw out 2 shurikens, 1 became 2, 2 became 4, and soon there were only a few shuriken, but when they approached Onoki, they had become thousands. At this time, Onoki was in the air, facing thousands of shuriken attacks. He had to avoid the edge for a while, and quickly fell from the air. Caught you. Doden, Earth-style, decapitation in the heart. An arm suddenly emerged from the ground and grabbed directly on Onoki's leg. Facing the sudden change, Onoki did not panic, but quickly hand-seal with both hands. As a cage-level powerhouse, Onoki hand-seal's speed is still very fast. Just when Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to pull Onoki into the ground, his ninjutsu had already been activated. Doden, Earth-style, rock fist art. I saw that Onoki's right hand was wrapped in a thick layer of rock, and then Onoki punched the ground. Boom! Onoki's punch was so powerful that when he hit the ground, the whole earth shook. Bang! Sarutobi under the ground turned into a cloud of smoke. It's Shadow Clone. Onoki frowned. Fucked. Somehow Sarutobi Hiruzen appeared behind Onoki. Kaden, Fire Style, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. Woohoo! Balls of fire erupted, swiftly attacking Onoki. Doden, Earth Style, Earth Flow Wall. Onoki quickly scattered the rocks on his right hand, and after hand seal, pressed his hands to the ground. Next moment, a stone wall rose from behind Onoki. Bang! Soon a fireball hit the stone wall, but the stone wall was so strong that the fireball did not destroy it. However, the number of fireballs is not only one, and soon other fireballs also bombarded the stone wall one after another. Boom! The explosion sounded, and the smoke filled the air, directly blocking the line of sight. It was not the first time the two sides had met, and Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't think an attack of this magnitude could defeat Onoki, so he didn't let his guard down and started the hand seal again with his hands up. Sure enough, before the smoke dissipated, a stone giant more than 20 feet tall came out of the smoke, and then the stone giant raised his hand and attacked Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi is a new ninjutsu I recently developed. It's specially prepared for you. What do you think? Onoki, who flew above the rock giant's head, said very proudly. Huh. After Sarutobi Hiruzen used strength under his feet to escape the attack of the rock giant, although he admitted that Onoki's move was good, he did not admit it. Onoki, what's the use of making such a big man? If you can't hit anyone, you're a waste. Quote. Damn. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen's sarcasm, Onoki was furious. Sarutobi, don't underestimate me. Doden Earth-style lightweight rock technique. After Onoka hand seal, put both hands on the stone giant. The next moment, the stone giant's body weight was reduced several times, which made it speed up instantly. Bang! Sarutobi Hiruzen, who couldn't dodge instantly like a shooting star. Whoosh! Sarutobi Hiruzen was instantly knocked out and flew several dozen meters before landing on the ground after a backflip. Suddenly accelerated. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little surprised, because he was used to the slow speed of the stone giant, but at this time the stone giant suddenly accelerated, making Sarutobi unable to react for a while, so he was hit. Seeing that Sarutobi's injury did not seem to be very serious, Onoki felt a little dissatisfied. Because the weight has been reduced, the power has decreased. Sure enough, there are advantages and disadvantages. Onoki thought to himself. Looks like it's going to be a trick. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen bit his finger and started hand seal. Ninja, psychic art. Bang! As Sarutobi's palm pressed on the ground, a large number of runes appeared on the ground, and the next moment, there was a loud explosion, and the smoke filled the air. Soon a gust of wind blew, the smoke cleared, and then a giant ape with a height of 1 sheet appeared in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi, you are looking for me again. The giant ape muttered. There's no way, I'm going to be a strong enemy when I meet 457. Sarutobi said helplessly. And when Sarutobi was talking to the giant ape, Onoki had already controlled the stone giant and rushed over. Ape Demon Transformation. Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted hurriedly upon seeing this. Got it. After responding, the giant ape turned into a huge stick with a bang. Seeing the stone giant's fist hit him, Sarutobi picked up the stick that was thicker than his thigh and smashed it directly at the stone giant. Boom! With a loud noise, the stick hit Golem's fist, and after a blow, the two retreated at the same time. What a lot of strength! Onoki was a little surprised. Come again. Sarutobi didn't stop, and just after standing up, he charged up again. Boom, boom, boom. The collision sounded one after another, and Sarutobi fought with the stone giant in one place. Come on, Sarutobi-sama. The ninjas on Konoha's side shouted hurriedly, cheering for Sarutobi. Not to be outdone, Iwagakure hurriedly shouted after seeing what Konoha did. Go on, Onoki-sama, and defeat the Sarutobi dog thief. Go on, Lord Sarutobi, and defeat the Onoki scrap. In this way, the troops on both sides shouted like cheerleaders, and the voice even overshadowed the voice of Onoki fighting each other. Open black lens bracket Senju Sword God close black lens bracket. Chapter 184 The Scuffle Broke Out Part 1. The sound of cheering from the two armies did not affect the two of them at all, and both Sarutobi Hiruzen and Onoki were all focused on the battle at this time. Taking advantage of Sarutobi Hiruzen's fight with the stone giant, Onoki used some ninjutsu to attack Sarutobi Hiruzen from time to time. Sarutobi Hiruzen could only divide a shadow clone to resist Onoki's attack. In the blink of an eye, the two fought for a few minutes. Break me. I saw Sarutobi suddenly raise the stick in his hand, and then smashed it straight on the top of the stone giant's head. And the rod actually keeps getting bigger in the process of descending. Not good. Seeing this, Onoki quickly raised his flying height. Boom. The huge stick bombarded the stone giant's head, and the rubble suddenly flew around, and the entire stone giant was directly shattered by the stick of Sarutobi Hiruzen. At this time, Onoki's expression changed slightly. He did not expect that the new ninjutsu he had worked so hard to develop would be destroyed like this. You must know that in order to condense such a hard stone giant, he consumes a lot of chakra. Sarutobi Hiruzen gained power after crushing the stone giant. Although Onoki was in the air, it was not difficult for Sarutobi Hiruzen. Longer. I saw Sarutobi Hiruzen pointed the stick in his hand directly at Onoki, and then controlled the stick to lengthen quickly and went straight to hit Onoki. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen's attack, Onoki hurriedly dodged, and for a while, he saw Onoki flying around like a fly in the air, while Sarutobi Hiruzen was waving a stick and stabbed constantly. Finally, Onoki was hit with a stick before he could dodge. Whoosh! Onoki turned into a meteor and flew nearly 100 meters away. Not good. The adults are in danger. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen chasing after him, the ninjas in Iwagakure village were in a hurry. Attack! The deputy commander of the village of Iwagakure gave the order quickly. All of a sudden, countless hidden weapons, such as shuriken and kunai, flew out and attacked Sarutobi Hiruzen. Seeing this, even Sarutobi Hiruzen had to step back. He did not have the courage to face the attack of thousands of ninjas. When Sarutobi Hiruzen retreated into the team, without hesitation, he immediately gave the same order to attack. All troops attack. With Sarutobi Hiruzen's order, thousands of Konoha ninjas rushed straight to Iwagakure. Soon thousands of ninjas had crossed a distance of hundreds of meters, and the two sides could only meet for more than 200 meters. The Kaiden fire style, troops obey. Use Kaiden fire style, ninjutsu to attack. With the command of the Kaiden fire style, unit commander, hundreds of ninjas from the Kaiden fire style unit immediately began to hand seal. Kaiden fire style, great fireball jutsu. Kaiden fire style, dragon fire bullet. Various levels of Kaiden fire style ninjutsu were used, and a monstrous flame enveloped Iwagakure for a while. Facing such a wide range of Kaiden fire style ninjutsu attacks, Iwagakure was not afraid. Doden earth style, thousands of miles of soil flow wall. Thousands of Iwagakure used the earth flow wall at the same time, and the earth wall immediately rose up, directly blocking the thousands of Iwagakure behind. Boom! The flames bombarded the earth wall, the sound of the explosion came out, and the smoke rose into the sky. Futon wind style, troops obey orders. Use Futon wind style ninjutsu to attack. The Kaiden fire style ninjutsu has just finished, and the Konoha ninjas have already launched their attack regardless of the outcome. Various Futon wind style ninjutsu are issued, overwhelming attacks to Iwagakure. Sweden water style, Raiden thunder style, and even Doden earth style units used ninjutsu in succession. Since Kaiden fire style ninjutsu, the explosions have hardly stopped, and the billowing smoke is even worse. Shrouded Iwagakure, making it impossible for Konoha ninjas to see what Iwagakure is now. Smoke completely dissipated, Konoha shinobi village had already rushed into the smoke. It was just that they had just entered, and suddenly a large number of kunai and shuriken were shot out. Many Konoha ninjas were unprepared and were hit in the body by countless hidden weapons. In just a few seconds, hundreds of Konoha ninjas fell down without knowing their lives or deaths. Although so many people fell down at once, the Konoha ninja still charged forward without fear, because at this time, he could only move forward but not backward. When the road meets, the brave one wins, the war is fought, and then the brave one wins and survives. In the smoke, the two sides have come to a close, and the real war has broken out. The forefront is Konoha's mixed troops. All kinds of ninjas are available, but most of these people are chunin. As for the so-called mixed troops, to put it simply, they are the so-called cannon fodder, and their task is to inflict heavy losses on the enemy by their numbers. Not only Konoha has this kind of unit, but Iwagakure also has it, so the first thing to collide at this time is the mixed troops of both sides. When the smoke cleared, Konoha saw that Iwagakure had retreated dozens of meters, apparently to avoid the previous ninjutsu attack, but even so, there were still hundreds of Iwagakure corpses on the ground. In the beginning, Iwagakure was already at a disadvantage. Just as the mixed troops of the two sides were engaged in battle, a gleam of light flashed in Dongshin's dazzling eyes, and he knew that his time had come. Meteorites fall. A meteor with a diameter of 10 meters condensed in the air of hundreds of meters, and then eloped to Iwagakure and smashed it. What? Looking at the huge meteorite that suddenly fell, the people on the Iwagakure side were stunned. Come on, smash that stone. Onoki, who had recovered, hurriedly issued an order. Immediately, several Iwagakure stood up and attacked the meteorite. Although Iwagakure are mostly good at Doton, Earth style, that doesn't mean they can't do other ninjutsu. At this time, these ninjas were using Kaiden, fire style, ninjutsu to attack the meteorite. Several huge fireballs bombarded the meteorite, smashing the meteorite immediately. But before Iwagakure below was happy, he saw that the fragmented meteorite was still not small in size. Boom! Several huge meteorite fragments hit the ground, and more than a dozen Iwagakure were killed. Although only Chunin died, it also made Onoki feel a little distressed. Looking at the increase of dozens of points of creation, a smile appeared on the corner of Dongshenyao's mouth. Sure enough, it's the easiest to get a god point on the battlefield. The war is still going on, but the elite ninjas on both sides are not in a hurry to shoot, but wait for the opportunity, just release some ninjutsu to each other from time to time. And Dongshenyao will also look for opportunities to release a meteorite. Although the Iwagakure side has experience this time, the occasional meteorite fragments can still kill several people. Originally, Iwagakure was at a disadvantage at the beginning of the war. At this time, coupled with the continuous ninjutsu bombardment of Konoha village, Iwagakure soon could not hold on. Thank you for your monthly ticket support. Chapter 185. The melee broke out below. Scuffled together. Almost every second, ninjas died. Soon the ground was covered with corpses. At this point, both sides had already killed Yuhian, and these ninjas had only one thought in their hearts, that is, kill all the enemies. At first, Iwagakure was able to resist the attacks of the Konoha ninjas, but as time passed, the gap between the two ninjas became apparent. Konoha is worthy of being the strongest ninja village in the ninja world. This is not just the number of people and high-end combat power. Even ordinary Chunin, Konoha ninjas are generally stronger than Iwagakure. Coupled with the fact that Iwagakure was at a disadvantage at the beginning, and the ninjutsu attacks launched by the Konoha ninja behind him from time to time, Iwagakure could not stop after half an hour and was defeated by the Konoha ninja. Sir. Seeing this, the Iwagakure elite could only look at Onoki, waiting for his order. All ninjas follow orders, follow me. Onoki gave an order and took the lead in rushing towards the battlefield. With the addition of Iwagakure elites such as Onoki, as soon as Iwagakure easily gained the upper hand, hundreds of Konoha ninjas were killed in a short period of time. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately issued an order, and joined the battlefield with a group of Konoha 370 elites. Suddenly, a battle of more than 10,000 people began. Various ninjutsu appeared on the battlefield, and shuriken and kunai flew through the air. Ninjas on the battlefield not only have to deal with the enemy, but also be careful of attacks from all around. This is the battlefield, and it is easy to be affected by other people's battles, so you must be able to live long. At this time, Toshinyao has joined the battlefield with the people of the special team, and before entering the battlefield, the commander of the special team, Jiro Yoshikawa, has issued an order to his subordinates, asking them to find the Iwagakure elite on the battlefield to block, which is exactly what the mission of the special forces. Because the two sides were already fighting together, Dongshenyao did not use the meteorite attack for a while. After joining the battlefield at this time, he began to look for Iwagakure's masters everywhere. Killing a Chunin can only get 5 god-making points now, but killing a Jonin can get 999 god-making points, which is equivalent to nearly 200 Chunin, so of course Dongshenyao has to choose a master to kill. Soon Toshinyao found an Iwagakure with special Jonin strength on the battlefield, and seeing this, Toshinyao hurried over. Iwagakure with a special Jonin strength had just beheaded a Konoha Chunin. Just at this moment Dongshenyao had appeared behind him. With a wave of the shadow-chopping blade, he went straight to Iwagakure and stabbed him in the back. Not good. So Iwagakure is also a battle-hardened person with rich experience. When he noticed that there was a strong wind blowing behind him, he knew that someone behind him was attacking him, and he didn't even bother to turn around to look. Iwagakure squatted down quickly. Huh! The shadow-cutting knife stabbed the sky, and Dongshenyao was not surprised at all. After all, he was a special Jonin, so how could it be so easy to kill? However, Dong Shenyao responded very quickly, and after seeing a knife stab in the air, he directly slashed down. At the same time, the Iwagakure was not idle either. After crouching down, he hurriedly rolled on the spot, dodging Dong Shenyao's attack again. At the same time, Iwagakure came over to help after seeing his companion being attacked. Dong Shenyao didn't care about the two Iwagakure coming from behind, and went after them directly. After Iwagakure rolled for 2 laps, he was about to stand up, but by this time Dong Shenyao had already arrived. Bang! With one kick, Ta Shenyao's leg, which had turned into a rock, kicked directly on Iwagakure's back, and the huge force kicked the Iwagakure into the air. Huh! Dong Shenyao shook his hand, and immediately shot 3 kunai. At the same time, the two Iwagakure had already caught up, and seeing Dong Shenyao didn't care about them at all, the two Iwagakure grinned grimly and waved their kunai thorns towards Dong Shenyao. Dang dang! Only 2 crisp sounds were heard, and the 2 kuwu thorns were on Dong Shenyao's back, but they couldn't penetrate at all, as if they were stabbed on steel. What? 2 Iwagakure changed, obviously not expecting such a thing to happen. At this moment, the huge rock palm rose from behind Dong Shenyao, and while the 2 Iwagakure were dazed, the rock palm directly grabbed the 2 Iwagakure in their hands. Die! With Dong Shenyao shouting in his heart, the rock palm squeezed, and the 2 Iwagakure were immediately crushed to death, and blood flowed down the rock arm. The huge rock palm was particularly conspicuous on the battlefield, and soon attracted the attention of many ninjas, but they didn't know who used the rock palm for a while, but those who had seen the battle between Dong Shenyao and Okada will be born. The Konoha ninja recognized it. Isn't this the ninjutsu that made Okada's life so embarrassing in the first place? Damn! Seeing the familiar ninjutsu, Masao Okada couldn't help cursing, and Masao Okada would never forget the humiliating scene that day. And just when Okada was so distracted, his arm was slashed by an Iwagakure, and there was pain in his arm, and then Okada was awakened. Bastard! Okada was furious. Seeing that he was only injured by a chunin, this made Okada even more grieved and angry, and he immediately killed the Iwagakure with full firepower. Ta Shenyao didn't know that Okada was injured because of his skills, but if he knew, he would be very happy. After killing the 2 Iwagakure who attacked him, Ta Shenyao didn't care, but controlled the rock palm to continue to attack the Iwagakure of the special Jonin level. Ta Shenyao had already injured him with kunai just now, so this Iwagakure was killed by the rock palm not long after. Seeing this scene, many ninjas knew that the Konoha ninja of the rock palm had come out. After beheading the special Jonin level Iwagakure, Dong Shenyao did not stop, and continued to look for the Iwagakure master. Controlling the rock palm, Dong Shenyao is invincible on the battlefield. Of course, this is also because Dong Shenyao never looks for elite Jonin. Most of the ones he chooses are special Jonin and ordinary Jonin. Dong Shenyao knew that at best he could defeat some elite Jonin, and it would be impossible to kill them. If an elite Jonin runs away with all his heart, there is no way for Dong Shenyao to keep him. Since he couldn't kill them, of course Dong Shenyao wouldn't bother them. After all, his main purpose was to gain God creation points. In just over 10 minutes, as many as 40 Iwagakure died in the palm of Dong Shenyao's hand. Of course, most of them were chunin who actively attacked Dong Shenyao. As for the special Jonin and Jonin, Dong Shenyao would kill them. Fewer, but even so, his arrogant appearance still caught some Iwagakure's attention. Thank you for the monthly ticket support of 4 Mouths and Mickey. Chapter 186 Siege. Carry the rocky palm, and that swaggering appearance finally caught the attention of the master Iwagakure. The Konoha special team blocked Iwagakure masters, and Iwagakure also had someone blocking the masters of Konoha village. At this time, although most of the powerhouses on both sides were entangled with each other, there were still some Iwagakure powerhouses freeing their hands to kill Dong Shenyao. Iwagakure again in Dong Shenyao. I suddenly felt a chill on my back, and my body couldn't help shivering. Not good. Dong Shenyao found that there were several powerful auras in order to come over. After using Byakugan to scan a circle, Dong Shenyao found that 4 Iwagakure were surrounding him, and these Iwagakure,'s auras were all very strong, and the worst was Jonin level strength. Dong Shenyao knew that it was too late to hide now, there was only one battle. After taking a deep breath and calming himself down, Dong Shenyao stared at an Iwagakure who was already less than 10 meters away from him. Among the 4 surrounding Sunagakure, only this person gave him the strongest sense of threat. Elite Jonin. Dong Shenyao did not expect that in order to kill himself, Iwagakure would have invested so much money, 1 elite Jonin, and 3 Jonins. Even if the general elite Jonin encountered this kind of lineup, they could only choose to retreat. Boy, you are young, but you are very powerful. You must be a genius from Konoha, and I like the genius of killing you. The elite Jonin level Iwagakure looked at him with a grin. East God Yaodao. After hearing Kitano Takeshi's words, Tashinyao realized that it was to kill him, the genius of Konoha village, so this lineup was used. Genius, every village likes it, and every village wants to kill it. I like the geniuses of my own village, and I want to kill the geniuses of other villages. Because if you want to become a quasi-shadow, or even a cage-level ninja, you basically need talent, and those geniuses have a high chance of becoming a quasi-shadow or even a cage-level existence. The most important criterion for measuring the strength of a village is the number of quasi-shadows and cage levels. The reason why Konoha village is the most powerful ninja village is not only because of the strength and number of Konoha ninjas themselves, but also because of the quasi-shadows of Konoha village. The number with cage level is the largest. Dong Shenyao is not very old, he looks like he is only 14 or 15 years old, but his strength is at least a top Jonin. Such talent is very likely to become a quasi-shadow or even cage level in the future. For this kind of genius, the village of Iwagakure, which is the enemy, must be strangled in advance. Kitano Takeshi, if you want to kill Xiaoyi, you can't do it, the soil thorn combo. Although facing the enemy's siege, Dong Shenyao actually took the lead. I saw a large number of earth thorns rising up within 20 meters of Dong Shenyao's body. Although Tashinyao's attack was a bit sudden, this time he was not facing the weak, so the 4 Iwagakure easily escaped his attack, and Kitano Takeshi launched a counterattack. Kaden Fire Style Dragon Flame Jutsu. Dragon Flame Jutsu itself is only AC level ninjutsu and can shoot a line of fire, but at this time, when this Dragon Flame Jutsu was used by Kitano Takeshi, its power was comparable to B level ninjutsu, and the original line of fire became a Fire Jinchuriki column in general. The Fire Jinchuriki column with a diameter of more than 20 centimeters went straight to Dong Shenyao to take it. I saw that all the thorns where the Fire Jinchuriki column passed were destroyed, and seeing this, Dong Shenyao hurriedly dodged. It was only Tashinyao who had just dodged Kitano's attack, and the other 3 Iwagakure Jonin's attacks had already arrived. Whoosh whoosh. More than a dozen shurikens came, and there were also wind and earth bombs. Facing the attack of the 3 Jonin, Dong Shenyao's body had just landed, and there was no time to dodge. However, just as the attack was about to hit Dong Shenyao, a stone wall suddenly rose up around Dong Shenyao. Boom! The attack of the 3 bombarded the stone wall. Although the stone wall was cracked, they were unable to break the stone wall. But at this time, Kitano Takeshi's second attack had already arrived. Raiden Thunder Style False Darkness. After Kitano Takeshi finished his hand seal, he opened his mouth and spit out a thunderball. The lightning ball was very fast and hit the stone wall in an instant. Originally, there were cracks in the stone wall. In addition, Raiden Thunder Style restrained Doden Earth Style, so the stone wall was quickly shattered, and then the thunderball unabated bombardment to the exposed Dong Shenyao. At this time, Kitano Takeshi seemed to have seen Dong Shenyao's expression of horror after being hit by a thunderball. Bang! Soon the lightning ball hit Dong Shenyao, but the next moment, only hearing a bang, Dong Shenyao turned into smoke and dissipated. What is Shadow Clone? Kitano Takeshi was stunned. At this moment, Dong Shenyao had appeared behind a Jonin who besieged him, and at the same time a Rasengan appeared in his palm, and he went straight to hit Jonin who was attracted by his shadow clone. Be careful behind Yusuke. At this time, a ninja noticed Tashinyao's sneak attack, and quickly opened his mouth to remind him. After hearing the words of his companions, the ninja who was attacked by Dong Shenyao was startled, and then he hurriedly dodged without thinking about it. However, Tashinyao's speed was too fast. Although Yusuke had dodged in time, he was still hit on the shoulder by Rasengan. Bang! The huge force directly knocked Yusuke out. Although this one can definitely abolish one of Yusuke's arms, Dong Shenyao is still a little dissatisfied. If someone hadn't reminded him, he would have succeeded in the sneak attack. Just after Tashinyao hit Fei Yusuke, Kitano Takeshi rushed over for the first time. Seeing Takeshi Kitano rushing over, Dong Shenyao had no choice but to wave the shadow-chopping saber in his hand to meet him. When a golden iron symphony sounded, and the two retreated at the same time. Without giving Dong Shenyao a chance to fight back, Kitano Takeshi's attack had just ended, and the other two Jonin had already rushed over. Facing the attack of the three ninjas, Dong Shenyao was in a hurry for a while. In the end, even Yusuke, whose arm he had lost, joined the fight. Although I can't use ninjutsu without one arm, I can still use taijutsu. But for 3 rounds, Dong Shenyao didn't pay attention, and was directly kicked on the back by a Jonin, and his body flew out immediately. Taking this opportunity, Kitano Takeshi directly stabbed Kuwu on Dong Shenyao's body. Bang! Huh! Although kunai pierced Dong Shenyao's body, Kitano Takeshi frowned, because the touch just now was a little wrong. What a great power! Dong Shenyao exclaimed in his heart. He had already been elementalized just now, turning his body into a solid rock, but he still let Kitano take Kuwu into it. Although he was not injured, he let Dong Shenyao sigh that the strength of the elite Jonin is great. Chapter 187 Duman. After being stabbed by Kitano Takeshi's kunai, Tashinyao's body staggered a few steps forward unconsciously due to the huge force. But Kitano Takeshi noticed that the feeling of Kuwu Upa was not right. He turned his head to look, but found that the clothes on Dong Shenyao's back had been damaged, but what was exposed was not flesh and blood, but a rock. But at this time there was a hole in the rock. What's going on? Kitano Takeshi was stunned for a while. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. At this time, Dong Shenyao knew that if he continued to fight like this, he had no choice but to run away, and he had to use his whole cards to turn defeat into victory. The 8 inner gates, the first door, open the door. The second door is closed, open. Quote. The 4th injury door, open. Dong Shenyao's the 8 inner gates opened directly to the 4th gate, which was also the limit reached by Dong Shenyao half a year ago. Once exceeded, it would cause huge damage to the body. However, after more than half a year of practice, Dong Shenyao has no further. The 5th door, Duman, open. With Dong Shenyao's loud roar, a powerful momentum suddenly emanated from his body, and a lot of chakra overflowed from his body, and I saw blue chakra surrounded by Dong Shenyao. Around Shenyao, a green flame-like arrogance appeared on the surface of his body. At the same time, the blue veins on Dong Shenyao's forehead burst out, and there was an unusual yuhi color on the skin of his body. Of course, Dong Shenyao's current physical fitness is much better than when he was a young Lee Genin in the original novel, so even if he has opened 5 doors, it is not as bad as he looked when he was a young Lee Genin. What? Seeing Dong Shenyao's aura soaring, he actually gave himself a sense of oppression. Kitano Takeshi was shocked, because he found that at this moment Dong Shenyao's aura was vaguely comparable to the quasi-shadow in the village, although compared to the real the quasi-shadow is a little worse, but it is also beyond the category of elite Jonin. Is he a monster? How can he strengthen so much? Kitano Takeshi was shocked, and he forgot to attack for a while. Even the elite Jonin, Takeshi Kitano, was shocked, let alone the other 3 Jonins. At this time, the 3 Jonins stared wide-eyed at the dazzling eyes of the East God, and there was a hint of fear in the dazzling eyes. At the same time, because Dong Shenyao made a lot of movement, it actually attracted the attention of many people around him. Many Iwagakure were terrified after seeing what Dong Shenyao looked like at this time. On the other hand, those Konoha ninjas were greatly encouraged, and even their morale improved a little. Whoosh! After getting used to the state after opening the fifth gate, Dong Shenyao took action. Directly, he disappeared in place in an instant, only making a burst of air, which is the sound of the high-speed movement of the body and the friction of the air. Bang! Kitano Takeshi only had time to raise his arm, and the next moment Dong Shenyao's fist had hit Kitano Takeshi's arm. Although Kitano Takeshi blocked Tashinyao's attack, the huge force made his body fly out. After a punch to Kitano Takeshi, Dong Shenyao didn't stop, only to see that his body didn't fall to the ground at all, and his left foot stomped violently on the air, only to hear a bang in the air. The next moment, Dong Shenyao's body suddenly rushed out. Don't think that it was just a moment, but in fact Dong Shenyao stepped on the air dozens of times in less than a second, so that he could walk in the air. Before Kitano's body was on the ground, Dong Shenyao had already followed. Because of his speed, Kitano Take had no time to hand seal, so he could only quickly throw a dozen shuriken to resist Dongshen. Yow! However, Dong Shenyao didn't care about those shuriken at all. That is, when the shuriken was about to hit him, the earth shield had already appeared in front of him, and the shuriken hit the earth shield. The shield does the slightest damage. But at this time, the three Jonin had come to their senses. Not good. Seeing that Kitano Takeshi was attacked, the three Jonin rushed to the rescue. Futon, wind style, vacuum sphere. Kaden, fire style, the great fireball. Two Jonins hurriedly used ninjutsu to attack Tashinyao, while the Jonin, who had one arm lost, could only throw a kunai attack. But at this time, Dong Shenyao ignored those Jonin's attacks at all, and concentrated on dealing with Kitano Takeshi. Bang! He punched again. This time Dong Shenyao's punch directly hit Kitano Takeshi's abdomen. The huge force actually knocked Kitano Takeshi's body out, and Kitano Takeshi flew directly into the sky. Bang! There was a burst of sound in the air again, and the next moment Dong Shenyao had disappeared in place. And it wasn't until Dong Shenyao left that the three Jonin's attacks arrived, and in the end they all hit the ground without causing the slightest damage to Dong Shenyao. No, his speed is too fast, we can't keep up. The three Jonin's faces were ugly. Once upon a time, as a village's high-end combat power, they could only stand by and watch. This is of course not because they are too weak, but because the enemy is too strong. Of course, these Jonins also saw at this time that Dong Shenyao obviously used some kind of secret technique to temporarily improve his strength, but they believed that this kind of secret technique had a time limit. Just use it, can't wait until now to use it. At the same time, Dong Shenyao soared into the sky, and soon caught up with Takeshi Kitano, and it didn't take long for him to surpass him and come to the sky above Takeshi Kitano's body. Give me death! Dong Shenyao shouted and kicked Kitano Takeshi in the back. Bang! Dong Shenyao's kick can be said to be very powerful. The huge force not only curbed Kitano Takeshi's upward trend, but also made Kitano Takeshi fall to the ground like a falling meteor 3.6. However, Dong Shenyao didn't want to let Takeshi Kitano go like this, and saw that he was stepping on the void. With a burst of banging sound, Dong Shenyao's body stagnated in the air for a short time, and then he raised his hand. Meteorites fall. The huge meteorite condensed and quickly appeared above Dong Shenyao's head, and then there was no need for Dong Shenyao to control it. Under the action of gravity, the meteorite smashed towards the ground, and the location where the meteorite fell was the same as where Kitano Takeshi fell. Exactly the same. Not good. Seeing this scene, the three Jonin knew that they couldn't continue to watch the fun. Immediately, some of the three of them used ninjutsu, and some threw kunai tied with a detonating talisman, wanting to destroy the meteorite as soon as possible. Boom! Explosions sounded, and the three Jonin's attacks bombarded the meteorite, filled with smoke, and the situation of the meteorite could not be seen clearly for a while. Chapter 188 Anti-Kill. The smoke dissipated, a large number of rubble fell from the smoke. Seeing this, the three Jonin breathed a sigh of relief. Just when they thought the meteorite had been destroyed by them, they saw the meteorite whose size had been reduced by half fell. Not good. Seeing the face of the three Jonin suddenly changed, they didn't expect that the meteorite was only half destroyed by them, and it was too late for them to make a move at this time. Boom! The meteorite fell on the ground, accompanied by a roar. Countless large and small stones practiced, and it was impossible to confirm what happened to Takeshi Kitano for a while. Dong Shenyao did not look at Takeshi Kitano's situation at this time. After the meteorite fell, his figure had disappeared in the air. Whoosh! Like an arrow from the string, stepping on the void, and his body instantly rushed towards the three Iwagakure village Jonin. Boom! In just 1 second, he had come behind the three Jonins, and after he landed, there was a loud bang, and he stepped out of a big hole on the ground. Behind. Hearing the movement behind him, the three Jonin hurriedly left the place, but although the three reacted quickly, Dong 15 Shenyao was faster, and he followed directly behind Yusuke, whose arm had been abolished. Yusuke flew out and ran straight for more than 20 meters before stopping, but he didn't know that the scythe of the god of death was already hanging over his head. Bang! Dong Shenyao's fist smashed directly on Yusuke's back, and Yusuke didn't react, his body had already flown out. Just as Yusuke was about to land, a large thorn rose. PFF'd. Yusuke's body was directly pierced by countless earth thorns, and blood stained Yuhi's ground. 5 people have fought until now, and finally there is death. Yusuke. At this time, the other 2 Jonins also saw that Yusuke was killed by the earth stab, and the 2 could not help crying out in grief, and then they turned their grief and anger into strength. One of them prepared ninjutsu, and the other rushed towards Dong Shenyao. Kaden fire style, dragon fire bullet. Woo! The monstrous fire instantly covered Dong Shenyao's figure, but he soon saw Dong Shenyao rushing out of the flames very quickly. Because he was so fast, an air shield formed around his body, preventing the flames from approaching him. Seeing Dong Shenyao rushing out, another Jonin directly greeted him. Bang! 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 Just a few tricks, Jonin couldn't keep up with Dong Shenyao's speed, and then he saw Dong Shenyao kick that Jonin to the ground, and then the shadow-cutting knife pierced directly into Jonin's heart. PFF'd. Blood spurted out, and Dong Shenyao had disappeared in place. Damn! Seeing that Dong Shenyao killed 2 people in a row, and Kitano Takeshi didn't know whether he was alive or dead, the last named Jonin was afraid. Escape. Think about it, the Jonin turned around and ran. I still want to run after hitting me. A sneer appeared on the corner of Dong Shenyao's mouth, and the next moment there was an explosion in the air, and Dong Shenyao moved again. In less than 2 seconds, Dong Shenyao had already chased after him, and then he swung the shadow chopping blade and chopped at Jonin's head. PFF'd. Fresh blood spurted out, but the next moment, Yuhi's blood turned into mud, and that Jonin also turned into a puddle of mud. It's an earth clone. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao frowned. Finally caught you. At this time, Kitano Takeshi, who looked very embarrassed, appeared behind Dong Shenyao. Compared with the infinite beauty at the beginning, Kitano Takeshi is much more miserable now. The original neat clothes have been damaged, and most of the body is naked. One arm is covered with blood, obviously injured. Raiden Thunder Style, 4 Jinchuriki, column bondage. With the completion of Kitano Takeshi's hand seal, I saw the 4-stone Jinchuriki column rising around Dong Shenyao's body. The next moment, endless thunder and lightning were released from the 4-stone Jinchuriki column mountain and bombarded Dong Shenyao. Just hearing a crack sound, thunder and lightning wrapped around Dong Shenyao's body, but at this time Kitano Takeshi had a proud look on his face. No, Kitano Takeshi's expression changed at the next moment, because he found that Dong Shenyao did not show any discomfort in the thunder and lightning, but turned around and looked at him calmly. Why are you all right? Kitano Takeshi asked in surprise. In his opinion, what Dong Shenyao is best at is Doden, Earth style, and Raiden Thunder style, restrains Doden, Earth style. Shenyao in the Middle East of thunder and lightning should be very uncomfortable. Why should I be in trouble? Dong Shenyao asked back, and then he saw Dong Shenyao's figure slowly disappearing into the ground. "Where's the people?" Kitano Takeshi was completely stunned, not understanding why Thunderbolt was not only useless to Dong Shenyao, but made him disappear. In fact, Takeshi Kitano is right. Raiden Thunder Style does restrain Doden Earth Style, and using Raiden Thunder Style ninjutsu against Doden Earth Style ninjutsu will cause double damage. But there is another point to note, that is, the ground can conduct electricity. Just now, Dong Shenyao just used elementalization to turn his body into a rock, and then the thunder and lightning were guided into the earth along his body. Although doing this will cause some damage to Dong Shenyao's body, he is now elementalized anyway, and the damage of Raiden Thunder Style is only to make Dong Shenyao consume more physical strength and chakra. As for wanting to hurt Dong Shenyao, that is impossible, unless Dong Shenyao's physical strength and chakra are exhausted, and he cannot use elementalization. Of course, although Dong Shenyao was not afraid of 293 thunder and lightning attacks, it was difficult to get out of the bondage. He could only integrate his body into the earth and leave from the ground. Soon Tashinyao's figure appeared behind Takeshi Kitano. Bang! Tashinyao punched Kitano Takeshi on the back, directly knocking Kitano Takeshi away. After landing, Kitano Takeshi didn't hesitate and ran straight into the distance. If he doesn't run, he can't do anything. He finds that he can't do anything about Dong Shenyao. If he doesn't run away now, he may be the one who will die if he continues to fight. Kitano Takeshi escaped, and Dong Shenyao did not chase after him, because there was no need, and an elite Jonin who fled with all his heart could not stay with his current strength. In the end, Dong Shenyao could only focus his attention on the only Jonin who was still alive. At this point, this Jonin was already stupid. At first, he thought that Kitano Takeshi would succeed and be able to trap Dong Shenyao with 4 Jinchuriki column restraints, so he did not continue to escape. But where did he think that the Thunderbolt didn't trap Dong Shenyao, and now it's alright, Kitano Takeshi has run away, but it's too late to run again. An instant, Dong Shenyao had already rushed towards Jonin. Fight! He bit Kiba, the Jonin no longer wanted to run away, and he went directly to face Dong Shenyao and killed him. Boom! Chapter 189 War is over. Coming to Jonin, Dong Shenyao punched out. S fist hit Jonin, he saw his fist rapidly grow bigger, and finally turned into a giant rock fist. Boom! The giant fist hit Jonin's resisting arm directly, sending Iwagakure flying with tremendous force. Damn! Iwagakure didn't expect Dong Shenyao to be so powerful, and he broke one of his arms with one punch. Dong Shenyao learned that he was not forgiving, and quickly approached Iwagakure Jonin, then raised his hand. Doden Earth Style 10-finger piercing. Whoosh whoosh. More than a dozen stone bullets shot out, directly piercing Iwagakure, whose body was still in the air. Puff! Iwagakure fell to the ground, blood flowing from the wound, and it seemed impossible to survive. After taking care of the 3 Jonins, Tashinyao breathed a sigh of relief and put away the 8 inner gates at the same time. The powerful momentum gradually disappeared, the green arrogance also dissipated invisible, and everything returned to normal, but Dong Shenyao's body was staggered. Even if Dong Shenyao has a strong physique, and because he has practiced Yijinjing, his resilience is very strong, but opening the 5 doors still caused some damage to his body and needed to recover for a while. Feeling the slight pain coming from his whole body, Dong Shenyao felt helpless for a while. If he only opened the 4 doors now, it would be nothing, and after closing it, he would be a little tired at most. However, opening the 5 doors will cause some damage to the body. As for the 6 gates, Dong Shenyao can also be opened, but the damage is greater, and the persistence time is not long, so unless it is at the moment of life and death, Dong Shenyao will not be easily used. Although he was very tired, Dong Shenyao didn't have time to rest, because he was on the battlefield now, and he could already feel the peeping eyes coming from all around him. Dong Shenyao quickly left the place and mixed into the crowd. PFF'd. Iwagakure who were about to pick up a bargain, Dong Shenyao moved his body, and the next moment he disappeared on the ground. With an elite Jonin and 3 Jonin, defeating an elite Jonin and beheading 3 Jonin, such a record is already brilliant for a Jonin, but the price that Dong Shenyao paid is not small. At least she is now there is not much fighting power, so I can only hide and wait for the end of this war. And the 4 Iwagakure did not have much impact on the whole battle, and it could not affect the situation of the battle. Even the battle of the 5 people did not attract much attention, and the ninjas who were close to each other saw it. As for those who are farther away or busy with their own battles, how can they have the time to pay attention to these? After Dong Shenyao dived into the dirt to hide, the war continued, and every moment ninjas died. At this time, 3 or 4 hours have passed since the start of the war, but the battle between the two sides not only does not mean to end, but intensifies. But as the battle went on, the battlefield became bigger and bigger. At the beginning, tens of thousands of ninjas were still crowded together, but it didn't take long for everyone to spread out, and finally, dozens of miles around became a battlefield. The sun turned slowly in the sky, and soon it was dusk. At this time, Dong Shenyao, who had recovered most of his fighting power after resting, finally came out of the ground. At this time, a large number of corpses were scattered on the ground within a radius of dozens of miles, including those from Iwagakure village and those of Konoha ninjas. Yuhi's blood stained the ground, and a strong smell of blood shrouded the battlefield. Coming to the battlefield again, Dong Shenyao fought hard again for the magic point. After a rest, Dong Shenyao's combat power recovered a lot, so he turned into a battlefield killer at this time, relying on the escape technique to disappear on the battlefield, but every time he appeared, he would take a life away. This time, Dong Shenyao didn't look for Jonin again, but chose Chunin or Jonin in particular. In the case of Chunin, even the elite Chunin can't escape Dong Shenyao's sneak attack, and especially if some Jonin are injured, they will be easily killed by Dong Shenyao. Until night fell, Dong Shenyao had killed dozens of ninjas again. At this time, the battlefield had already darkened. Seeing that, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Onoki had a tacit understanding and chose a truce. After all, it has been a day of fighting, and the people on both sides are exhausted, and now the light is dim, which has a great impact on the line of sight, and it is easy to accidentally hurt their own people. Retract. With the command of the 2 commanders, the war gradually ended, and many people began to gather towards their own positions. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao had to stop and follow the crowd back to their own positions. When the ninjas on both sides were separated, Dong Shenyao discovered that there were only 5 or 6,000 Konoha ninjas left, and now there were only 3 or 4,000 people left, and nearly half of them were killed or injured. This made Dong Shenyao realize the cruelty of the war for the first time. Not only were there many dead, but in the melee, the power of the individual was greatly weakened. Sure enough, a person's strength is insignificant in the face of war. Unless he reaches a super cage level, even a strong cage level person can be killed by numbers. Dong Shenyao thought to himself. The 2 sides did not speak, and they all silently returned to the camp. Dong Shenyao knew that there was nothing to do with him, so after returning to the camp, he silently returned to the special teams camp alone. Hey, I don't know how many people are left in the special team after the battle is over. Dong Shenyao knew that the number of people in the special team that had just increased this time was probably going to decrease again. After a day of fighting, Dong Shenyao was a little tired. After returning to his residence, he didn't go anywhere. After eating some dinner, he went straight to sleep. In the blink of an eye, the night passed, and Dong Shenyao got up early the next morning and walked out of the tent. Without having breakfast, Dong Shenyao went directly to the special team's training ground to prepare for a workout, but what he didn't expect was that the commander of the special team, Jiro Yoshikawa, was also here. It's early, Tashinya, Yoshikawa Jiro greeted. Leader Yoshikawa early. I'm very happy to see you again, Yoshikawa Jiro said with a smile. At this time, when he heard Yoshikawa Jiro's words, Tashinya was stunned, and he didn't understand why Yoshikawa Jiro was happy. Dong Shenyao, do you know that our special team has a high mortality rate? In this battle, my special team died again, more than 30 people. So I'm very happy to see you again. In fact, it's not just you. I'm just as happy to see other people again, explained Yoshikawa Jiro. More than 30 people. Dong Shenyao was shocked, knowing that there were less than 200 people in the special team, and now almost 1/6 of them died at once, and these people were at least powerful Jonin. Chapter 190 Protracted War. Don't look at the many Jonins that Dong Shenyao killed yesterday, but in fact those Jonins are just some of the most common Jonins, and they are incomparable with the top Jonins. The top Jonin has no problem with the ordinary Jonin, but in the special every Jonin in the team is like this. Seeing Tashinyao's surprised expression, Yoshikawa Jiro couldn't help sighing. Hey, this is the cruelty of war. Let alone Jonin, even an elite Jonin can't be foolproof. This time we have 2 elites in our special team. Jonin has fallen. Dong Shenyao was once again shocked. If Jonin is the high-end combat power of a village, then the elite Jonin is the core of a village. After all, Zunying and cage-level powerhouses are too rare. Most of the time they depends on the elite Jonin. Don't look at the fact that there are thousands of people in each Jonin village, but even in a large village like Iwagakure village, there are only a few dozen people who have reached the elite Jonin level. The ratio between Jonin and Jonin is 20-1. Almost 2. Only 1 elite Jonin can appear among the 10 Jonin, which shows how rare the elite Jonin is. Now Konoha village has died 2 at a time. Yoshikawa Jiro said that he was not distressed. That was a lie. Of course, Dong Shenyao also knew that Konoha village suffered such a big loss this time, and it was not small compared to the losses of Iwagakure village. After all, Dong Shenyao had observed yesterday's battle, and overall, Konoha village had the upper hand. In this way, Tashinyaо and Yoshikawa Jiro too chatted while exercising, and it was over after an hour. After having breakfast at the camp, Dong Shenyao suddenly found that he had nothing to do. From the previous chat with Yoshikawa Jiro, Tashinyao already knew that a war of the magnitude of yesterday would not happen very often. After all, if this kind of battle is carried out frequently, it will not take long for both sides to lose. The real war is a protracted war. Usually, the 2 sides are engaged in small-scale battles. For example, each side sends 50 ninjas to fight in a melee, blocking supplies, etc. Just like the task of escorting supplies that Tashinyao performed when he was a genin before, when Konoha and Iwagakure village fought. Iwagakure village sent people to the land of fire to destroy supplies, so that the frontline people could not get supplies, so the Konoha front line was long over time. The troops are naturally going to be defeated. Now that a war has just ended, both sides are licking their wounds and recuperating, so there will be no battle in a short time, so Dong Shenyao will not have a mission. Staying in the promise, Dong Shenyao felt a little bored. Now that his cultivation has fallen into a bottleneck, Yi Jinjing has reached the peak of the 5th style, but he has not been able to break through to the 6th style. As for chakra, it only needs to be refined for a few hours a day, and it is impossible to spend a whole day practicing chakra. The development of ninjutsu and soil fruit ability has also entered a bottleneck period, and it is difficult to break through in a short time. Boring. By the way, let's go and see Brother Fumino and the others. Suddenly Dong Shenyao thought that he still didn't know what happened to Kimura Fumino and the others. Uehara K is Zunying, and Tashinyao is not worried about him, but Kimura Fumino and Kudo Shun are just Chunin, and Tashinyao is a little worried about the 2 of them. Soon Tashinyao arrived at the camp belonging to Demonic Illusion's troops. Seeing that Dong Shenyao was also wearing a Konoha forehead guard, the Demonic Illusion troops did not stop Dong Shenyao from entering. After asking many people, Dong Shenyao finally found out the whereabouts of Kimura Fumino. When Dong Shenyao saw Kimura Fumino, he found that he was resting in the tent, but one of his arms was bandaged. Brother Wenye. Hearing the familiar voice, Kimura Fumino quickly opened his eyes. Yao, you're here. After seeing Dong Shenyao, Kimura Fumino seemed very happy. Brother Wenye, what's wrong with you? Dong Shenyao pointed at Kimura Wenye's injured arm and asked with concern. I'm fine, it's just that I was injured by Ryuya during the battle yesterday. After speaking, Kimura Fumino also moved his arm, indicating that he was really fine. Seeing Kimura Fumino jumping up and down, Dong Xinyao also felt relieved. Then the two chatted for a while, and learned that Dong Xinyao was going to see Kudo-shun. Immediately, Kimura Fumino proposed to follow him, but Dong Xinyao did not refuse. The two immediately left the demonic illusion unit's camp. Because Kudo-jun has no special skills and average strength, he was assigned to the mixed army, which made Ta Xinyao very worried about Kudo-shun's situation. After all, the mixed army was like cannon fodder, rushing to the forefront. Special forces are on par. After coming to the mixed army, Dong Xinyao and the two saw that there were many wounded here, and many medical ninjas were still busy, treating those seriously injured ninjas. Seeing this scene, Dong Xinyao and the two became even more worried. After many inquiries, the two finally asked about Kudo-jun's situation. After learning that he was not dead, they both breathed a sigh of relief. However, they got a piece of news that Kudo-shun was injured, and the injury was not serious. In the end, Dong Xinyao and the two found Kudo-shun in a ward. When the two entered the ward, they found that Kudo-shun's 2 legs and 1 arm were bandaged, looking seriously injured. Little Jun. Seeing Kudo-jun's miserable appearance, Kimura Fumino suddenly exclaimed. "Ah, you guys are here." Kimura Fumino's movement alarmed Kudo-jun. He turned his head and looked towards the door, only to see Dong Xinyao and the two. "Brother Jun, why are you so miserable?" Dong Xinyao walked over and asked with concern. "Hey, don't mention it. I was unlucky. I was hit by a big rock that I don't know where it came from. Fortunately, I was lucky, but I only injured my legs and arms with 3.9, but I still can't die. And I heard from the medical ninja. The injury can be healed, and it does not affect future battles." Speaking of this, Kudo-jun seemed a little happy, because for him, being a ninja is more important than life. If he is disabled, then it is better to let him go. Die. Hearing Kudo-jun's words, Dong Xinyao and the two were also relieved. After all, as long as they are still alive and can be a ninja, then everything will be fine. A big battle made the three of them feel quite emotional, because on the battlefield they were all in close contact with the god of death, and the feeling of walking around in front of the gate of hell made the three of them have different perceptions of life. In fact, it's not just Dong Xinyao and the others. Every ninja who has been on the battlefield will have various insights. Chapter 191 Task Coming. After a war, the three of Dong Xinyao gathered together again, and they were full of emotion, and they knew that the battlefield was extremely dangerous, and maybe they would lose their lives in any war, so the three of them talked a lot this day. If so, it will not be separated until dusk. Big Brother Jun, Big Brother Wenye, I hope you don't have any trouble. On the way back, Dong Xinyao thought to himself. Although he is extremely cruel to the enemy, he is also very concerned about his own people. But now on the battlefield, Dong Xinyao can only barely protect himself. Let him devote more energy to protect Kudo-shun and the two. He can't do it with his current strength. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. The next day, Jiro Yoshikawa gathered all the members of the special team and held a small memorial service to mourn those who died on the battlefield. Everyone, the war is cruel. 36 of our comrades died in the previous war. Now I can only bless you, and I will be able to see you at the next funeral. Although Yoshikawa Jiro's words were not very pleasant, they contained his best wishes for Ta Xinyao and others. Of course, this can only be a blessing. After all, war is cruel. No one can guarantee that he will never die, not even Sarutobi Hiruzen. After the memorial service, the atmosphere of the entire special team was a little dignified. Dong Xinyao didn't go anywhere today, and went straight back to the tent to start practicing Yi Jin Jing, hoping to break through the bottleneck as soon as possible to reach the 6th form. Because Dong Xinyao knew it before, it is said that the Yijinjing passed down by their family will undergo earth-shaking changes once they reach the 6th form, and at the same time, they will truly show the power of Yijinjing. Although the battle the day before yesterday was extremely fierce, Dong Xinyao used the 8 inner gates, and his body has not fully recovered, but it also caused the bottleneck of his Yijinjing to show signs of loosening. Dong Shenyao wanted to hurry up his cultivation and see if he could take the opportunity to break through the bottleneck. He was very curious about what changes would happen to the Yi Jinjing after reaching the 6th form. Time turns, and another 2 days have passed in the blink of an eye. Dong Shenyao has been working hard to cultivate Yijinjing for the past 2 days. Unfortunately, although there are cracks in the bottleneck, it is impossible to break through. And on this day, when Ta Shenyao started to practice as usual, Yoshikawa Jiro suddenly found him. "Commander Yoshikawa, do you have anything to do with me?" Dong Shenyao was a little puzzled. "It's not that I am looking for you, it is the commander who is looking for you," Jiro Yoshikawa explained. "Commander." Dong Shenyao didn't expect Sarutobi Hiruzen to find himself, which made him a little puzzled. Although he thought he was a genius, but now he was just a jonin. He didn't know where he could have it. Causing the attention of Sarutobi Hiruzen, he specially asked Yoshikawa Jiro to find himself. "Commander Yoshikawa, do you know what the commander is looking for from me?" Dong Shenyao asked. "It's not very clear, but it should be some kind of mission." "Well, don't ask more, come with me quickly, the commander is still waiting for you," Yoshikawa Jiro urged. "Got it." Ta Shenyao knew that if he continued to guess, there would be no answer, so he left the tent and followed Jiro Yoshikawa. Soon, Dong Shenyao met Sarutobi Hiruzen in the tent where the last meeting was held, but he was a little surprised that there were many people in the tent besides Sarutobi Hiruzen, but most of these people Dong Shenyao did not know, but there was one. He recognized the identity of the ninja, and it was from the Hyuga clan. After all, the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan was too easy to identify. "Commander, Ta Shenyao has brought it here." After entering the tent, Yoshikawa Jiro gave Sarutobi Hiruzen a salute. "I've troubled Commander Yoshikawa, now you can leave first." Although he was the commander, Sarutobi Hiruzen was very polite to Jiro Yoshikawa. "Yes." Yoshikawa Jiro didn't ask any further, he turned and left the tent. "I've seen Commander Sama." Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen looking over, Dong Shenyao hurriedly gave a salute. "East Shenyao, I know you have doubts in your heart, and now I will tell you the purpose of looking for you. This time, I have a mission to entrust to you. Our Konoha intelligence system has inquired about the supply of Iwagakure village. Already leaving the village, I am going to send some people to destroy these supplies. I know that you have been in Anbu before, Ta Shenyao, and you are more experienced in the task of infiltrating the enemy's interior and destroying it, so this time your task is to take someone to destroy me this batch of supplies from Iwagakure. Sir Sarutobi, you made me the captain." Ta Shenyao looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in surprise. "That's right, you have already fulfilled the role of sub-captain in Anbu. I think you are very experienced in things like captains, so you are the captain in this mission, and everyone else will listen to you." Did not expect that Sarutobi Hiruzen would entrust him with such an important task. "Woo." Taking a deep breath, Dong Shenyao said solemnly, "Please rest assured, Sir Sarutobi, I will do my best to complete the task." "Very well, the people here are the subordinates I arranged for you for this mission. His name is Hyuga Kwan." Sarutobi Hiruzen first introduced the Hyuga clan with cataracts. Then 980 Sarutobi Hiruzen pointed to the two black-haired youths on the side and said, "These two are from the Uchiha family, they are brothers, the elder brother is called Uchiha Haoping, and the younger brother is called Uchiha Toru. Don't think they are just jonin, but the two of them are strong together. Better than elite jonin." Quote. It turned out to be a member of the Uchiha family. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's introduction, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but glance at the two brothers. Because of the conflict with the Uchiha family before, the subconscious Dong Shenyao didn't like the Uchiha family. And when Dong Shenyao looked at Uchiha Haoping, they were also looking at Dong Shenyao. Although Uchiha Haoping's eyes were calm at this time, Dong Shenyao vaguely sensed a trace of hostility from them, but it was soon Uchiha and Hirohei looked away. Is it an illusion? Dong Shenyao thought to himself. After introducing the Uchiha brothers, Sarutobi Hiruzen introduced two other people to Ta Shenyao. One of them is called Nagayama Yu, and the other is called Kagamehe. Of course, Sarutobi Hiruzen just briefly introduced their names, but didn't say anything about what they were good at. I thought it was for Dong Shenyao to understand it himself, which was also a test for Dong Shenyao. Sir Sarutobi, I don't know when we will leave. Chapter 192 Go to the Land of the Land. In the early morning of the second day after receiving the task, Dong Shenyao and his group set off. Originally, the main camp in Konoha village was only a few hours away from the Land of the Land, but in order to bypass the camp in the village of Iwagakure, Dong Shenyao and the others had to make a detour, so it took 2 more hours to reach the Land of the Land. Territory. At this time during the war, the border of the Land was closely guarded, and there were many ninjas patrolling the border, and some of them were sentient ninjas, so after entering the Land of the Land, Dong Shenyao and the others were still cautious. Fortunately, Hyuga Kwan is there. Byakugan's detection ability is also well known in the entire ninja world. There are few people who can surpass the Hyuga family in detection. Moreover, Hyuga Kwan is a Jonin. Byakugan has already developed to the advanced level. The range that can be detected is more than 1 kilometer. Relying on Byakugan, Dong Shenyao and the others escaped a lot of Iwagakure guards, and they entered the Land of the Land without any danger along the way. Compared with the border areas, the interior of the Land of the Land is much more relaxed, so Dong Shenyao and the others couldn't help but speed up a lot. In the blink of an eye, night fell, and Dong Shenyao and the others finally arrived at the predetermined location. Okay, it's very late, I'll rest here for a night today. After arriving at the destination, Dong Shenyao immediately ordered to stop. Hyuga Kwan, you investigate. Uchiha Hirohei, Yang Shanzun, you two go to set up traps. Yes. Dong Shenyao was the captain, so after his order, several people acted. However, Dong Shenyao was not idle either, and he used the soil fruit to create a few earthen houses on the spot. Soon, Hyuga came back after confirming that there were no enemies around, and not long after that, Uchiha and Hirohei also set up traps around them. At this time, they were more on the enemy's territory, so they didn't go to light the bonfire, and sat together directly, eating dry food, and discussing the task of destroying supplies. Everyone, according to the information given by Lord Sarutobi, the supply team from Iwagakure village will arrive here tomorrow. This is an opportunity for us, but the strength of the ninjas who escort supplies from Iwagakure village will definitely not be weak, so we will prepare 2 sets at that time. Program. Captain, it looks like you already have a plan, so why don't you just tell it and listen? Just as Dong Shenyao finished speaking, Yang Shanshuan spoke. Since they were a temporary team, they were strangers to each other before. Even though Dong Shenyao introduced them to each other yesterday, the time they spent together was short, especially among the Uchiha clan and Hyuga. A family of people. These 2 clans are big clans in Konoha village, they are arrogant, and they feel resentful that an ordinary person like Dong Shenyao becomes the captain. Of course, as the people of the big family, their intelligence is also very powerful. I have heard from the elders in the clan before that Dong Shenyao defeated the elite Jonin Okada, so although he was dissatisfied with Dong Shenyao as captain, neither of them provoked Dong Shenyao. It's just that along the way, they are ignorant to Dong Shenyao, even if sometimes Dong Shenyao takes the initiative to talk to them, most of the time they don't answer. Dong Shenyao was also a little helpless about this. After all, even being angry is useless for such a thing. Could it be that they can still beat them? Fortunately, although these people ignored Dong Shenyao, they would complete the assigned tasks strictly, so Dong Shenyao would turn a blind eye and ignore their attitude. Anyway, after this mission, I am afraid it will be difficult for them to meet again. On the other hand, Nagayama Yu and Kagamahe were both civilian ninjas with relatively easygoing personalities, so they were somewhat in awe of the captain, Tashinyao. Especially Kagami Mahe, who is only a chunin, has the lowest status in the team. If it weren't for his special skills, this task would not be his turn at all. At this time, after hearing what Yang Shanzun said, Dong Shenyao smiled slightly. I do have 2 plans. Now I will talk about it. If you have different opinions, you can put it forward. Speaking of this, Dong Shenyao glanced at a few people before continuing. Because Iwagaker's strength in escorting the supply team is still unclear, I have prepared 2 plans. If the strength of the escort team is not strong, then there is nothing to say, just ambush a wave, and then even let people and supplies be spared. But if the escorts are strong, then our goal is to destroy the supplies. As for the Iwagaker escorts, we just need to hold them back. Once the supplies are destroyed, we can retreat. Captain, do you take your second plan for granted? You said that the escorts are stronger. How should we retreat after we destroy the supplies? Hyuga asked. Of course we have to make arrangements in advance, we have to do this. Dong Shenyao immediately explained the specific plan. It's basically like this. As for which plan to use, it depends on Hyuga Kwan. Tomorrow, you must investigate Iwagaker's strength in advance. Dong Shenyao looked at Hyuga Kwan Road very seriously. Don't worry, leave it to me, Hyuga said confidently. Hearing that, Dong Shenyao didn't speak, just glanced at him, then turned to look at Kagami Mahei again. Kaga Mahei, your mission is also very important. You should be careful when you fight tomorrow. I have no other requirements. You just need to protect yourself. Don't worry, I may not be able to do other things, but my self-protection ability is still very strong, Kagami said confidently. After making the arrangements, they didn't speak anymore. After all, they had to fight tomorrow, so in order to recharge their batteries, they quickly returned to the mud house to rest. Soon the golden crow was born, and a new day began. After Dong Shenyao and the others got up early, they simply ate breakfast and set off. Of course, Dong Shenyao did not forget to erase the traces around him. After walking a few more miles, the group came to a canyon, and this was the ambush location Dong Shenyao chose. Kaga Mahei, it's up to you. Okay. Kagami Mipe didn't hesitate when he heard Tashinyao's words, and took out a scroll, then opened the scroll and put it on the ground, and immediately saw a lot of spells drawn on the scroll. Solution. After Kagami Mahei hand sealed, she pressed the scroll with one hand. Bang! Smoke emerged from the scroll, covering Kagami's palm. When the smoke dissipated, a large number of detonators appeared on the reels. There are a total of 3,000 detonating charms here, enough for us to use this time, Kagami said proudly. Chapter 193 Ambush. Kagami Mahei is still very proud of her own psychic technique. Different from the psychic beasts of ordinary ninjas, Kagami Mahei's psychic skills are the same as 1010 in the original book, which conceal items on scrolls, and then psychic out when needed. Although it is said to be a psychic technique, in Dong Shenyao's view, it is more like a sealing technique. But no matter what it is, the learning of this kind of ninjutsu requires a certain talent, and not everyone can practice it, and Kagami Mahei is a ninja who is very talented in psychics. This time, the reason why Sarutobi Hiruzen arranged for Kagami, the Chunin, to come here is to let him provide weapons for Tashinyao and the others. Of course, in addition to this, Kagami will also have some medical ninjutsu, which is also one of the purposes of Sarutobi Hiruzen sending him. Once Tashinyao and the others are injured, Kagami can also be treated in time. Nippei Kagami, you have a good hand. You can carry anything you need with you. It's really convenient, Yang Shanzun said with admiration. Where, Yangshan-sama is not as exaggerated as you said, I can't seal things that are too big yet. Although Kagami Mahei said so, she couldn't hide the smug look on her face. HMPH 227, it's just some sidekicks, Uchiha said disdainfully. He was already dissatisfied with Tashinyao becoming the captain. At this time, seeing that everyone else was paying attention to Kagami Mahei, which made Uchiha Toru, a Uchiha family, a little unbalanced. Wherever he went before, he was not a group of civilian ninjas. The focus of attention, but now it's better. The feeling of being ignored along the way makes Uchiha Toru rarely upset. Hearing Uchiha Toru's words, Kagami Mipe was a little angry, but thinking of Uchiha Toru's identity, he could only press his dissatisfaction to the bottom of his heart. Okay Uchiha Toru, everyone is a teammate, why do you say these words? Dong Shenyao couldn't look away and scolded. Don't think that you are the captain, you're awesome, if it wasn't for Sarutobi's appointment, you thought you could be the captain. Uchiha broke out all of a sudden, pointing directly at Dong Shenyao's nose and scolding. Uchiha Toru, you shut up. Uchiha Toru's older brother Uchiha Haoping couldn't stand it anymore, and now after scolding his younger brother, he quickly apologized to Dong Shenyao. Captain, I'm sorry, my brother is outspoken, he has no malicious intentions. It's okay, it's just a child, I won't care about him. Dong Shenyao glanced at Uchiha with a blank expression and said. You. Uchiha was furious when he heard Dong Shenyao say that he was a child, but he was stopped by his brother before he could continue to say anything. Seeing his brother shaking his head at him, Uchiha could only suppress the anger in his heart. He was still a little afraid of this brother. Okay, now everyone comes to collect the detonating charm, and arrange it according to yesterday's plan. The task was urgent, so Dong Shenyao quickly changed the topic. Uchiha Toru didn't speak anymore, just followed his brother to take the detonating talisman silently, and then walked out of the canyon. After that, the others also took some detonating charms and arranged them in the canyon. An hour passed in the blink of an eye, all the traps had been arranged, and everyone hid above the canyon, waiting for the arrival of the supply team. The waiting time is always long, only half an hour, but everyone feels as if half a day has passed. Finally, while everyone was waiting anxiously, Hyuga Kwan spoke. The people from Iwagakure village are here, just 1,500 meters away. Hyuga Kwan, how many are there? Dong Shenyao asked. There are 12 people in total. Hyuga Kwan continued to stare into the distance and said, there are 3 chunins, 5 special jonins, 3 jonins, and what? Seeing that Hyuga had stopped, Ta Shenyao was a little anxious and hurriedly urged. And an elite jonin. What? Hearing Hyuga Kwan's words, several people were stunned. They did not expect that the elite jonin would be dispatched. Captain, what should we do? Yang Shan asked. Execute the second plan. Taking a deep breath, Dong Shenyao made a decision. He knew that with Iwagakure's strength, it would be impossible to kill all of them with his own strength, so what they have to do now is to destroy the supplies. After all, this is Iwagakure's territory. Once the battle has been in progress for a long time, it is easy to attract reinforcements from Iwagakure. Time passed a little bit, and after more than 10 minutes, the supply team finally came to the outside of the canyon. However, they did not rush in, but sent 3 people into the canyon to check the situation. What a high level of vigilance. Dong Shenyao sighed in his heart, but fortunately he had expected this kind of thing to happen, so Dong Shenyao didn't set up traps to destroy supplies. Detonate. Ta Shenyao gave an order directly to Kagami Mihei. Yes. Kagami Mihei is no nonsense, and immediately starts the hand seal after taking the order. When the 3 Iwagakure entered the canyon and began to explore, the explosion sounded suddenly. Boom. The violent explosion caused the ground to shake, and countless pieces of rubble flew up. It's not good to have an ambush. All the Iwagakure were shocked. At this moment, Dong Shenyao shouted, do it. There were arrangements before, so after hearing Dong Shenyao's shout, everyone did not need to ask, and all acted according to the previous arrangements. Meteorites fall. The first shot was Dong Shenyao, who directly condensed a meteorite with a diameter of more than 10 meters and smashed it downward. Seeing the huge rocks smashing into the supply convoy, the escorting Iwagakure didn't dare to dodge at all, so he could only choose to pick up hard. After all, once they dodged, the supply would be over. Raiden Thunder style, false darkness. The elite Jonin quickly hand seal, then opened his mouth, and countless thunder and lightning spewed out, heading straight for the meteorite attack. Boom. In an instant, lightning struck the meteorite, and a large number of rubble fell. At the same time, other ninjas also shot, and various ninjutsu bombarded the meteorite, and it didn't take long for the meteorite to be destroyed. However, at this time, the brothers Uchiha and Hirohei also shot at the same time. Kaden Fire Style, Dragon Fire Bullet. 2 identical ninjutsus were used, and a large amount of flames spread towards the supply team. At the same time, Hyuga Kwan and others threw kunai at the team. Doden Earth Style, Earth Flow Wall. The elite Jonin was the first to react and quickly fended off Kaden Fire Style's attack. Thank you for the monthly ticket support of 4 Mouths and Mickey. Chapter 194 Retreat. Elite Jonin is powerful. It is still a bit reluctant to rely on one earthen wall to block the attacks of 2 Jonin's Kaden Fire Style, especially the Uchiha family who use Kaden Fire Style. Although the Uchiha family is most famous for Sharingan, they cannot deny that their accomplishments in ninja tools and Kaden Fire Style are just because Sharingan is too powerful, so they cover up the other two. However, if you look closely, you will find that with the same strength and the same Kaden Fire Style ninjutsu, the Kaden Fire Style power used by the Uchiha family will be 1 or 2% stronger. China is likely to be the key to deciding the outcome. Boom. Under the bombardment of flames, the earth wall was directly broken. Although the other Iwagakure had already reacted at this time and used ninjutsu to resist the flames, it was still a little late. The 2 carts in front were covered by flames and directly for ashes. This time Iwagakure transported a total of 20 vehicles of supplies, and now 1/10 of the supply has been destroyed at once. These Iwagakure feel distressed. Damn, kill. A loud shout, the elite Jonin is about to take action. But at this time, dozens of kunai shot over. Bang, bang, bang. Iwagakure easily escaped the kunai, but the next moment, these Iwagakure's faces changed greatly, because they found that the detonating talisman was tied behind the kunai. Not good. This time did the Iwagakure know the enemy's intentions. From the beginning, the enemy was not to kill them, but to destroy the supplies. It's just a pity that I found out at this time, it was too late. Boom, boom, boom. The explosions sounded one after another, and dozens of detonating talismans were powerful. In an instant, more than half of the supplies were destroyed, and even the drivers who drove the cars were not spared. Damn Konoha ninja! Iwagakure was furious. Although they hadn't met directly, they had already guessed that it must be the Konoha ninja who shot. After all, Iwagakure is only at war with Konoha village. Who else will do it except Konoha village? Does this happen? Seeing that only the first wave of attacks had destroyed most of the supplies, Dong Xinyao and the others were a little excited. Immediately, the 2 brothers Uchiha Hirohei, Hyuga Kwan, and Yongshinsu ran down the mountain towards Iwagakure below. Rush away. Seeing someone rushing over, all of Iwagakure's eyes flashed fiercely. The attack just now made them feel aggrieved. After all, they lost so much cargo without even seeing the enemy's face. Even the 3 Iwagakure who went to the canyon to explore before, they didn't know whether they were alive or dead. These Iwagakure were suffocated in their hearts. A belly of gas. Now that they finally meet people, these Iwagakure are gearing up for a big fight. In less than half a minute, the 2 sides were already close to each other. As soon as the 2 brothers Uchiha Haoping came up, they entangled the elite Jonin of the Iwagakure village. Although the 2 were not opponents of the elite Jonin, it was no problem to hold an elite Jonin for a while. Iwagakure fought. As for Dong Xinyao, at this time, he rushed from the ground to the few remaining supply vehicles. Soon Dong Xinyao came under a carriage, stretched out his arm and affixed a few detonating talismans directly under the carriage. Then Dong Xinyao did the same, and put the detonating talismans on the other carriages. After doing all this, Dong Xinyao hurriedly left. Blast! Hand seal of Dong Shenyao's hands, all the detonating talismans were immediately detonated. Boom! The explosion sounded, and the few remaining carriages were also destroyed. Ah! Seeing this scene, a group of Iwagakure were stunned and roared up to the sky. Konoha village, Nakamura, are at odds with you. Jonin, the elite of Iwagakure, was going crazy. Retreat. Seeing that all the supplies had been destroyed, Dong Xinyao did not hesitate to get out of the ground and shout. After hearing Tashinyao's words, the group did not hesitate to fight, facing the attack from Iwagakure and running towards the canyon. "You're here and want to leave." Nakamura saw Dong Shenyao and the others were going to leave. How could he allow him to leave? Now that the supplies have been destroyed, he has already considered negligence of duty. If the murderer is allowed to run away, Nakamura can commit suicide. Immediately, Nakamura and others exerted all their strength, wanting to keep Dong Shenyao and others. At this moment, dozens of kunai attacked again. Although they did not cause any damage to Iwagakure, all the detonating talismans tied to these kunai immediately exploded, hindering the Iwagakure's pursuit for a while. When the explosion disappeared, Dong Shenyao and the others had already reached the canyon and were climbing up the mountain. Due to the previous explosion, the entire canyon was blocked by rocks at this time, and it was obviously impossible to go. "Come on up." At this time, Kagami Mahei, who had already returned to the mountain, hurriedly shouted to Dong Shenyao and the others, and he threw out the kunai just now. Although Tashinyao and the others ran ahead, it was not easy to get rid of Iwagakure's pursuit. According to the original plan, "Hurry up," Dong Shenyao shouted to Hyuga Kwan after he came to the mountain. "Captain, take care." Because it had been arranged in advance, Hyuga didn't say much, and ran straight into the distance, leaving only the two brothers, Tashinyao and Uchiha. This was already arranged before. Hyuga Kwan and the others ran first, while Dong Shenyao and Uchiha Koppei stayed behind. After all, the three of them were the strongest in the team in terms of strength, and there was hope of escaping after they broke up. Meteorites fall. Seeing that Iwagakure was catching up again, Dong Shenyao quickly condensed a meteorite again, and at the same time Uchiha and Hirohei also shot. Kaden, Fire Style, Great Fireball Jutsu. Kaden, Fire Style, Head Hard. Due to the slow speed of the meteorite, although Tashinyao shot first, it was the fireball from Uchiha Koppei and the two who arrived first. In the face of the attack, Nakamura and others took action to resist. Seeing that Iwagakure was temporarily held back, Tashinyao and the others hurriedly began to retreat. Half a minute later, Nakamura and the others had already defused Dong Shenyao and his ninjutsu and chased up the mountain, but at this time, Dong Shenyao and the others had already run several hundred meters. Chase. Nakamura did not give up, and continued to chase after him. In this way, the two sides chased after me, and soon ran down the other side of the cliff. Uchiha Hirohei, where are the traps you made? Dong Shenyao asked as he ran. It's coming soon, Uchiha said coldly, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. It's a pity that Dong Shenyao ran behind Uchiha hoping, so he didn't notice this scene. After running for more than 100 meters from the mountain, Uchiha Haoping and his younger brother Uchiha Toru looked at each other, and they saw a trace of killing intent in each other's eyes. Chapter 195 Misfortune. Seeing that they couldn't catch up with Dong Shenyao and the others, Nakamura became anxious. Damn Konoha ninja, don't run if you can. Nakamura yelled from behind. It's strange if you don't run. Dong Shenyao whispered. It was just that Dong Shenyao had just finished speaking when he suddenly found that his feet were soft, and then his body fell directly. Not good. Dong Shenyao was startled, and at this time, more than 10 kunai suddenly shot. At the same time, the two brothers Uchiha Haoping stopped more than 10 meters away, looking at the big pit not far away, and the two smiled at each other. Boom! There was a sudden explosion in the big pit, and the two of them didn't stop when they saw this, and they quickly continued to escape. At this time, Nakamura, who was chasing behind, was stunned. He had seen everything that happened before. Tashinyao, who was running at the back, suddenly fell into the pit, and then Uchiha and the two threw kunai into the pit. And then there was an explosion, which made Nakamura puzzled. What's going on here? Is it a conspiracy of Konoha village? It's not that Nakamura's head is not good, but the scene that happened at this time is too weird. Unconsciously, Nakamura slowed down. Wait a minute. Nakamura stopped the others directly. Sir, aren't we chasing? An Iwagakure questioned. No, let's take a look first. I feel that there is something strange here. Nakamura said solemnly. It's not that he is suspicious, it's the series of sneak attacks that made him have to be cautious. But after waiting for a while, seeing that the two brothers Uchiha had already run away, nothing happened, which made Nakamura realize that something was wrong. My lord, do you think they have had an infighting? An Iwagakure guessed. It's possible, let's go. Nakamura no longer hesitated and strode over. Soon a few people came to the vicinity of the big pit, looked inside, and saw that a lot of stones had been piled up in the big pit at this time, and they didn't know whether Dongshenyao had been killed by the explosion. Just when Nakamura was researching whether to continue chasing, the explosion happened again. Boom! The billowing smoke was angry, and I saw that the ground near the big pit was lifted by a violent explosion. The explosion didn't last very long, but it stopped in 3 seconds. However, Iwagakure's losses were not small. I saw Nakamura was in a state of embarrassment, and there was a lot of blood stains, and those especially Jonin were short of arms and legs. Although they are still alive, it can be expected that they will not be ninjas in the future. However, the two Jonins are fine. Although the injuries are not minor, at least they will not affect their ninja careers after being cured. As for Chunin, 2 of the ninjas who entered the canyon to explore before were Chunin. As for the last Chunin, because the speed was slow and did not keep up, he survived. Damn Konoha village! Nakamura roared up to the sky again. He felt that he had been fooled again. Unfortunately, at this time, both Uchiha Konoha's brothers had already fled, and it was impossible for him to chase after them. And this time Dongshenyao, of course nothing happened. In fact, Dongshenyao had already noticed that something was wrong. He sensed murderous intent from Uchiha and Haoping. Although he didn't know what was going on, Dongshenyao opened both Byakugan and Sharingan to be on the safe side. Through Byakugan Dongshenyao had discovered the trap in advance, but he did not break it, but stepped on the trap deliberately. He wanted to see what Uchiha Haoping was going to do. The final result surprised Dongshenyao, but it was reasonable. After falling into the trap, Dongshenyao immediately became elemental and entered the earth, so the subsequent explosion did not hurt Dongshenyao at all. The two brothers Uchiha and Hiroshi ran straight for more than 10 miles. Seeing that Nakamura and the others did not catch up, they stopped. Brother, are you saying that Dongshenyao is dead? Uchiha asked. Should be dead, such a violent explosion, and he is still in the center of the explosion. Even the elite Jonin will die, let alone him. Uchiha said confidently. This bastard is finally dead, and he dares to provoke our Uchiha clan. He is courting death, Uchiha said fiercely. Who do you say should be damned? Suddenly a deep voice came, which startled the two of Uchiha. Just before they could see who it was, a large number of soil thorns suddenly rose under their feet. Although Uchiha and Haoping were frightened, they were worthy of being Jonin. They reacted in an instant, and they all jumped up to avoid the attack of the soil thorn. But before the two could breathe a sigh of relief, they saw a huge rock palm rise from the ground behind them, and then patted it directly. Bang! The palm of the rock slapped the ground, causing a burst of smoke and dust, but Uchiha and Hirohira hid quickly and were not injured. Kaden, fire style, head hard. Uchiha Koppei reacted the fastest, and immediately after dodging the attack of the rock palm, Hand Seal issued a ninjutsu. Several fireballs spit out and went straight to the rock palm to attack. Boom, boom, boom. 4 consecutive fireballs hit the rock palm, and a large number of stones were knocked down, but when the fireball attack ended, countless stones flew up and recondensed on the rock palm. Dusty. Woo. Countless sand and dust swept up, because the dust was so large that Uchiha claimed that the two of them could not open their eyes at all. Never mind, Kaden fire style, dragon fire bullet. Because the eyes can't see, so Uchiha Toru directly randomly released a Kaden fire style. A large flame spewed out, so that the nearby sand and dust were melted. However, just after the flames ended, several stone bullets flew out. Because the attack was too sudden, Uchiha Toru was directly hit by the stone bullets in both legs. Ah! A cry of pain, Uchiha fell to his knees. 4.5. Brother. Seeing this, Uchiha Hauping couldn't help but exclaimed. Brother, I'm fine, quickly find the enemy and kill them, or we'll all die here. Uchiha reminded. I know. At this time, the sand beside Uchiha and the two had been destroyed by Kaden, fire style, so Uchiha opened Sharingan and started looking for the enemy. There. Soon Uchiha Hauping noticed the existence of chakra in the sand not far away. Whoosh whoosh. As soon as he raised his hand, more than a dozen shuriken were fired. Bang. Soon Uchiha Hauping found that the chakra in the distant sand had disappeared. No, it's shadow clone. Uchiha Hauping was shocked, and at the same time, the ground under his feet suddenly shook, as if it had been shaken by an earthquake. Chapter 196 Behead Uchiha. After Uchiha Hauping found out that he was attacking only shadow clone, he was about to look for the enemy's true body, but at this moment, the ground under his feet shook violently, like an earthquake, and countless cracks appeared. Brother, save me. At this moment Uchiha Toru's shout came. Turning his head to look, he saw that Uchiha Toru had slipped into a crack, and now he was holding onto the edge of the crack with both hands, so that he did not fall. It turned out that Uchiha Toru couldn't move because his legs were abolished, and at this time a crack appeared under him, which made Uchiha Toru unable to avoid it at all, and fell directly. Fortunately, at the last moment, he reached out and grabbed the edge of the crack. Otherwise if it falls, I'm afraid it won't be long before I'll be cut into meat-chan. Seeing that his younger brother was in danger, Uchiha Hauping didn't even bother to look for the enemy, so he ran over and pulled his younger brother up. But at this moment, the huge rock palm slapped it down again. Not good. With a cry of exclamation, Uchiha Hauping bit Kiba and threw his brother out, but he couldn't hide himself. Boom. The huge rock palm slammed down firmly, and the smoke and dust were everywhere. Uchiha Toru was dumbfounded when he saw this. Brother. Few seconds, Uchiha came back to his senses and let out a groan. The two were brothers. Because they are 3 years apart, Uchiha Hauping has let his younger brother in since he was a child, and even protected his younger brother. Uchiha Toru grew from a genin to a jonin, and he was escorted by Uchiha Hauping along the way. In order to protect this younger brother, Uchiha Hauping did not know how many injuries he had suffered. He almost died many times. Uchiha Toru also saw his brother's efforts. Although the Uchiha clan is arrogant and looks down on other people, they are very good to the people of their own clan, especially between brothers. There is rarely a situation of intrigue. Uchiha Hauping protects his younger brother and loves his younger brother. As a younger brother, Uchiha Toru also cares about his elder brother very much. He has been working hard to cultivate and wants to share the danger for his elder brother in the future. Seeing that his brother was shot by a rock palm now, even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured, which made Uchiha Toru a little unacceptable. Boom. With a roar, the rocky palm slowly lifted up, and then Uchiha Toru saw that his brother Uchiha Koppei was lying in a pool of blood. Brother. Uchiha Toru didn't care whether the rock palm would continue to attack him, and even endured the pain in his legs and climbed directly to his brother's side. Brother, don't die. You said that you want to watch me get married and have children, and you still want to be my son's godfather. Uchiha was lying on his brother's body and burst into tears streaming down uncontrollably. Hey, in the distance, Dong Shenyao couldn't help sighing when he saw this scene. The Uchiha family is full of contradictions. They are the incarnation of hate, but they are also full of love. The initiation and evolution of Sharingan also involves a process from love to hate. Especially with the opening of Mangekyo Sharingan, many Uchiha clan people have hatred in their hearts after seeing the death of the people they care about, so they let Sharingan evolve into Mangekyo. At this time, seeing that Uchiha Toru was in pain because of his brother's affairs, Dong Shenyao was deeply touched, because he thought of how he felt when he just learned of the news of his parents' death. Uchiha Toru, don't blame me, who made us enemies. Although he was moved by the feelings of the two Uchiha Toru brothers, Tashinyao did not regret doing so. He could give his love to his relatives, and at the same time he would never show his love to his enemies. Will be merciful. It's not that Dong Shenyao is cruel, but because he has already seen through the world. Unlike the modern society ruled by law, there are no laws in this world. This is a world of killing and being killed. Dong Shenyao doesn't want to die, so he can only kill his own enemies. It's that simple. It is precisely because Dong Shenyao sees these things thoroughly that he can live to this day. If his character was the same as Uzumaki Naruto in the original book, I am afraid he would have died long ago. After all, Uzumaki Naruto is the protagonist, and he will not die if he has the aura of the protagonist, but Dong Shenyao does not. Toru, don't cry. Uchiha's voice was very weak. Brother, are you not dead? Uchiha looked at his brother excitedly. Toru, I'm dying, but I hope you can be strong, because from now on I can't protect you anymore, everything can only depend on you. Cough, cough, cough. Uchiha Haoping coughed violently a few times. Another mouthful of blood spurted out. No, brother, you'll be fine. Uchiha Toru couldn't accept the fact. Toru, it's time for you to grow up, remember that the danger is not over yet, you must live, even for me. Speaking of which, Uchiha Haoping was silent, until he died. He didn't close his eyes, he was still looking at his younger brother Uchiha Toru, his eyes were full of reluctance and worry. He was not afraid of his own death, but worried about his younger brother's safety. Brother. Uchiha let out a sad cry. At this moment, I saw Uchiha's bloody Yuhi's Sharingan turn quickly, and then saw the two tomo in his eyes move slowly, and finally changed from the original 180 degrees to 120 degrees, and at the same time there was an extra 097 tomo in his eyes. Because of his brother's death, Uchiha Toru's Sharingan has evolved into 3 tomo. However, when Uchiha Toru's Sharingan evolved, several stone bullets hit him, piercing his shoulders directly, and abolishing Uchiha Toru's arms. Ah! Uchiha fell to the ground with a groan of pain. Uchiha Toru's limbs were abolished. Dong Shenyao was not careless, because the Uchiha family can't take it lightly, who knows whether Uchiha Toru will evolve Mangekyo Sharingan. Huh! I saw Dong Shenyao quickly approaching Uchiha Toru holding the shadow-slashing saber, and then the sword fell, blood splashed everywhere, and Uchiha Tetsu's limbs were chopped off by the shadow-slashing saber in an instant. If Tashinyao didn't want to ask something, I'm afraid Uchiha Toru would have died. Ah! The screams sounded, and the pain of the limbs being severed made Uchiha Toru couldn't take it any longer. In order to prevent Uchiha from bleeding to death, Dong Shenyao squatted down and tapped the acupoints for him to stop the bleeding. It's you. At this time, Uchiha Toru also saw Dong Shenyao, which made him a little unbelievable, as if he had seen a ghost. I didn't expect it. Are you surprised that I didn't die? Dong Shenyao looked at Uchiha with a half-smiling smile. Chapter 197, SS Level Tasks. You're not dead. Uchiha's eyes widened at Dong Shenyao with a look of shock on his face. He didn't expect that Dong Shenyao could survive an explosion of that magnitude, and he didn't seem to be injured. At this moment, Uchiha Toru regretted a little. He regretted why he had turned against Tashinyao in the first place. If they didn't do that kind of thing, they wouldn't end up in this kind of field now. At this time, Uchiha Toru already knew that the one who just shot them should be Tashinyao. Yeah, I'm not dead, so it's you who are going to die. Dong Shenyao looked down at Uchiha and said. Dong Shenyao, you have to die. You dare to kill our Uchiha clan. You won't live long, I'll be waiting for you below. Uchiha glared at Dong Shenyao fiercely. Although he regretted it a little, he would never show his weakness in front of Dong Shenyao. The killers are always killing them. Since you want to kill me, of course I will kill you. If your Uchiha clan continues to oppose me, then I don't mind destroying your Uchiha clan. Dong Shenyao burst out with a cold murderous aura. Many people have died in the hands of Dong Shenyao over the years, and their murderous aura is not weak. Hearing Dong Shenyao's words, Although Uchiha Toru didn't believe that the powerful Uchiha clan could be wiped out with Dong Shenyao, but for some reason, a bad premonition rose in Uchiha's heart, as if the Uchiha clan would really be planted in Dong Shenyao as generally in the hands. Shaking his head, Uchiha put his uneasiness behind him for a while, then glared at Dong Shenyao and said, East Gadyao just wants to fight against my Uchiha clan. You are just wishful thinking, you will be killed by my Uchiha clan. Yes. Hehe, you don't need to worry about it. Anyway, you will die before me. Dong Shenyao didn't care about Uchiha Toru's threat. By the way, Uchiha Toru, I'm a little curious, why did you kill me? Dong Shenyao finally asked the question in his heart. According to the original plan, Uchiha and Hao Ping would set up traps on the plain outside the canyon to obstruct the pursuers, but they did not expect that they would even set a trap on Dong Shenyao. It's just that Dong Shenyao didn't understand why they would do this. Although the two of them didn't get along well, in Dong Shenyao's view, even this would not be enough to kill people. HMPH, no one who dares to insult my Uchiha clan will survive. Uchiha snorted coldly. Insult. A flash of light suddenly flashed in Dong Shenyao's mind. It's Uchiha Flat. Ta Shenyao suddenly said a name. It seems that you have already thought of it. Yes, you dared to humiliate Uchiha Ping in front of so many people, and offended Uchiha Liang. You are already on the kill list of my Uchiha clan. Although my brother and I did not kill this time. I got you, but you dodged once, and next time you will never dodge. Ha ha ha, Dong Shenyao, I am waiting for you below. Uchiha burst out laughing. Sure enough, it was them. I didn't expect your Uchiha family to be so narrow-minded. No wonder they were exterminated in the future. What did you say? Since Ta Shenyao's last words were in a low voice, Uchiha Toru couldn't hear it clearly. I didn't say anything. Well, I already know what I should know. You should also go with your brother. After speaking, Dong Shenyao waved the shadow-chopping saber and dropped it. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and Uchiha Toru's head was directly cut off by Ta Shenyao. Completely beheading the Uchiha brothers, Dong Shenyao was also relieved. Don't blame me, who made us enemies? Dong Shenyao muttered as he looked at the two corpses on the ground. Ding! The system has an important mission released. Please enter the God creation space as soon as possible. At this moment, the cold voice of the system suddenly sounded in Dong Shenyao's mind. What? Dong Shenyao was taken aback for a moment. He did not expect the system to issue a task at this time. Even after so many years, Dong Shenyao still has not figured out the rules for the system to release tasks, but at this time the system said that there are important tasks. This is the first time Dong Shenyao has encountered. Suppressing the doubts in his heart, Dong Shenyao did not immediately enter the God-making space, but first used Kaiden fire style to destroy the bodies of Uchiha and Toru. Of course, Dong Shenyao did not forget to put away the Sharingan of the two. After all, they are all three Tomo Sharingan, although Dong Shenyao can't use it, but I don't know when it will be useful in the future. And after the Uchiha family is wiped out in a few decades, the Sharingan will become a real scarce commodity. Doden Earth-style burial. With the use of Dong Shenyao's skills, the earth was tumbling, but in just half a minute, everything within a radius of 100 meters was destroyed, even the ashes left after the body was burned are gone. It can be said that this one move is the best way to destroy corpses. After everything was done, Dong Shenyao entered the God-making space. Anyway, the time in the God-making space was still, and Dong Shenyao was not afraid of what danger he would encounter when he came out. As soon as he entered the God-making space, Dong Shenyao immediately called out the task panel. At this time, he found an additional task on the task panel. SS level quest. Destroy Uchiha. Destroy the Uchiha clan. Quest reward. It turned out to be an SS level mission. Dong Shenyao was stunned. This was the first time he saw an SS level mission. It can be said that this was the highest level mission he had seen since he got the system, except for the ultimate mission. Well, even before that, he had only seen an S-rank mission once. You can't be mistaken in the system. How come there are SS level quests? am I capable of completing them now? And why is the quest reward for this quest unknown? Dong Shenyao questioned. Please rest assured, the system is responsible for helping the host to be strong and will not issue mortal tasks. Although this task is difficult, it has no time limit. As for the task reward, this task is a phased task. Once the host accepts it, the system will branch tasks will be released, and the host will naturally receive rewards after completing the branch tasks. As for the SS level task itself, when the accommodation is completely completed, the system will give the host different rewards according to the host's completion. So that's the case. Dong Shenyao's eyes became clear when he heard the system's explanation. Since it's a phased mission, and there's no time limit, I'll accept it. He already had a grudge against the Uchiha clan, and Dong Shenyao knew that even if he didn't intervene, if he followed the original story, it would be a few decades later. The Uchiha family will also be wiped out, so of course he will not refuse. Thank you, Superior, for your monthly ticket support. Chapter 198 Confluence. Learning that there was no time limit for this SS level quest, Dong Shenyao no longer hesitated and chose to accept it. After all, even if he doesn't do anything and just follows the original book, the Uchiha clan will be wiped out in a few decades, which is equivalent to picking up an SS level quest reward for nothing. Of course, Dong Shenyao also knew that if he didn't do anything, there would be very little quest reward. And just after Dong Shenyao chose to accept this quest, he saw that there were several more quests on the quest panel. A-level mission, submit 10 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan. Mission reward, 9,000 God-making points. A-level mission, kill 50 Uchiha clan Chunin. Mission reward, 1,500 God-making points. S-level quest, kill Uchiha Ida. Quest reward, 10,000 God-making points. Wow, it's 3 tasks at once. Dong Shenyao's eyes widened instantly. He didn't expect that he only accepted one SS level task. Now the system has released 3 high-level tasks at once, especially one of them is still S-class mission. Dong Shenyao knew that these 3 tasks should be the branch tasks mentioned in the previous system. 3 high-level quests were released at once, and the total quest rewards exceeded 20,000 God creation points, which made Dong Shenyao excited, but he knew that the first 2 of the 3 quests were good, and the third was absolutely as very dangerous. According to Dong Shenyao's past experience, A-level missions are somewhat dangerous, then S-level missions are fatally dangerous. I didn't expect that killing Uchiha Ida would be an S-rank mission. With my current strength, even if I face the elite Jonin, there will be no fatal danger. It seems that this Uchiha Ida should surpass the existence of the elite Jonin, at least 1 level shadow. Dong Shenyao was awe-inspiring. He had never fought a Zunying before, but Dong Shenyao knew that he was definitely not a match for Zunying at the moment. Ready to film. Although Quan Ying is not a real cage level, but at least 1 word, Ying, is left, the strength is far superior to the elite Jonin. It seems that it is not easy to complete these tasks. Dong Shenyao's eyes were solemn. Because he had already accepted the SS level quest, these 3 branch quests were accepted by Dong Shenyao by default, and unlike the SS level quest, these 3 quests all had deadlines. Among them, the completion period of the 2 A-level tasks is 1 year. If they cannot be completed, Dong Shenyao will be deducted by double the God building points. And the S-level mission has a longer period, 2 years. Just like the punishment for failing to complete it, it is also double the God creation point. It seems that this system has made me and the Uchiha family work. 10 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan, this is equivalent to 10 Jonin, and not every Jonin in the Uchiha family has 3 Tomo Sharingan. Hey, it seems that there will be busy next. It's over. At this time, Dong Shenyao regretted taking this quest. He had planned to do nothing and waited for the Uchiha clan to be wiped out like the original, but he never thought that this branch of quest must be completed. Dong Shenyao felt that he was tricked by the system. Should I exchange Mangekyo Sharingan? Such a thought suddenly appeared in Dong Shenyao's heart. Has accumulated enough God building points to exchange for Mangekyo Sharingan, but he has not exchanged it. Because Mangekyo Sharingan has drawbacks, and it is easy to become blind if used a lot, so Dong Shenyao originally planned to directly accumulate enough God-making points, and then exchange them for eternal Mangekyo, and Dong Shenyao had another plan. Forget it, let's do this for now. If it really doesn't work, then exchange for Mangekyo. Dong Shenyao thought to himself. Shaking his head, Dong Shenyao stopped thinking about other things. Now that the quest has been accepted, he will not stay any longer, and directly withdrew from the God creation system. Back to the outside world, Dong Shenyao suddenly thought of something. System, that Sharingan's task is to submit 10 pairs at one time, or can it be submitted in multiples? Dong Shenyao asked. Whatever you want, the host can submit whatever you want, as long as it reaches 10 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan in total. Hearing the system's answer, a smile appeared on the corner of Dong Shenyao's mouth. That's not bad. I'm still worried about how to keep the 2 pairs of Sharingan, now it's alright. Thinking of this, Dong Shenyao took out the 2 pairs of Sharingan that had just been sealed, which was exactly what he got from the 2 brothers Uchiha Haoping. System, I'm submitting Sharingan. As Dong Shenyao meditated in his heart, the next moment, Dong Shenyao saw a golden light flash over his hands, and then the 2 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan disappeared. Dong Shenyao hurriedly called out the task panel, looked at the task that submitted 10 pairs of 3 Tomo Sharingan, and saw 2 numbers appeared behind the task. 2/10. Sure enough, it was a success, haha, in this case, there are only 8 pairs left. Dong Shenyao was overjoyed in his heart. Of course, Dong Shenyao didn't forget that he was still in the land of the land. After he was happy, he set off on the road again. Before it got dark, Dong Shenyao finally reunited with Yang Shanshuan and the others in the country of Luo. According to the plan they had made before, the 3 of Dong Shenyao would break up at the back, and Yang Shan asked them to return to the country of Luo directly, and then they would meet in a cave in the country of Luo. If Dong Shenyao and the others hadn't arrived the next day, Yang Shanzun and the others would not have to wait any longer, they could just return to the main camp at that time. Captain. Seeing Dong Shenyao, Yang Shanshuan and the others were all relieved. In any case, Dong Shenyao's initiative to cut off the queen can be regarded as conquering everyone. After all, breaking the queen is very dangerous, and one bad move is likely to kill you. Yang Shanzun and others asked themselves, if it were them, I am afraid they would not be able to do this. It is because of 4.9 that they admire Dong Shenyao so much. By the way, Captain, what about Uchiha Haoping and the others? Seeing that Dong Shenyao came back alone, this made several people a little puzzled. We are separated, Dong Shenyao sighed. Then, he said what he had already thought about. Because Iwagakure was chasing after him, we didn't completely get rid of them even using the traps we had set up before. We had no choice but to run away. Later, I came here directly after getting rid of the pursuers. As for the Uchiha brothers, I don't know. It turned out to be like this. I hope they are all right. Yang Shan asked them to say nothing more. It is really the Uchiha family that is too arrogant, and it is a little difficult to get along with other people. Chapter 199. Back to camp. Learning that the 2 brothers Dong Shenyao and Uchiha Koppei were separated, everyone did not continue to ask. By the way, Yang Shanzun, why are you injured? How is the situation? Dong Shenyao asked, looking at Yang Shanzun's arm wrapped in white cloth. It's nothing, it's just that my arm was injured by Iwagakure during the previous battle, but after Kagami's treatment, I'm fine now. Nagayama said with a smile. That's good, it seems that bringing a ninja with medical ninjutsu is really useful. Ta Shinyao praised. Where? My medical ninjutsu is just getting started. Fortunately, Brother Yangshan is not seriously injured. Otherwise, I can't do anything about it. Kagami said with some unwillingness. Miping, don't be humble, your level is still good. Yang Shanzun boasted. Perhaps because of the previous healing, the relationship between the two became much closer. Hyuga-kan, do you know Hyuga Izshin? Seeing Nagayama Yu and Kagami Mahei chatting, Ta Shinyao leaned over to Hyuga-kan and asked. Hyuga Yixin, Of course I know him. He should be considered an outlier from our Hyuga clan. Hyuga said with a complicated expression. Heterogeneous 15. Dong Shenyao was stunned when he heard the words. That's right, it's an alien. Captain, you should know the technique of the caged bird of our Hyuga clan. Well, I heard about it. Dong Shenyao nodded. Almost everyone who has been planted with the technique of caged birds lives in a cage for life, with no freedom, to be driven by the people of main clan. For this reason, most of our Hyuga people live in anger and unwillingness. But Hyuga is single-minded. Otherwise, he is very optimistic and has never been worried about the caged bird, so he is an outlier from my Hyuga clan, and almost no one in our Hyuga clan does not know him. Quote. It turned out to be like this. Tashinyao was not very surprised by Hyuga's words, because Hyuga is indeed this kind of character. Captain, do you know Hyuga Yixin? Hyuga asked curiously. Well, I met him when we were in the hills and mountains. Dong Shenyao said a little bit about how he and Hyuga knew each other wholeheartedly. It turned out to be like this. I didn't expect that thing was done by you, Captain. Hyuga's eyes widened in surprise. As a member of the Hyuga clan, of course he knew about Chulingshan, and he also knew that someone sent the news to Chulingshan in time, so he kept it there. Just because of the past few years, the name Dong Shenyao has been forgotten by many people. At this time, Yang Shanzun and the two also heard the conversation between Dong Shenyao and the two of them. They were also very surprised by this, and at the same time admired Dong Shenyao. In this way, Dong Shenyao and the others started chatting, and didn't rest until late at night. The next morning, seeing that the Uchiha brothers did not come back, Hyuga Kwan and the others knew that the two Uchiha brothers were probably out of luck. Okay, it's time for us to hit the road. Dong Shenyao didn't mention the two brothers Uchiha Haoping, and went straight to the camp after coming out of the cave. Although it was already in the territory of Luo's country at this time, it was relatively close to the camp in Iwagakure village, so Dong Shenyao and the others were still cautious when they were on their way, and finally returned to the camp in Konoha village until it was close to noon. Ah, it's finally back. Returning to the promise again, Hyuga and the others felt a sense of relief, because they were not completely safe until this time. Okay, hurry up and hand in the task to Lord Sarutobi, so we can go to rest quickly. Dong Shenyao urged. Got it. Just like that, the group of people dragged their tired bodies straight to Sarutobi Hiruzen's tent. Sarutobi Hiruzen had already received the news as soon as Dong Shenyao and the others entered the camp, so before they entered the tent, Sarutobi Hiruzen was already waiting outside. Welcome back to our hero of Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Hyuga's heart warmed, and Tashinyao also sighed in his heart that Sarutobi Hiruzen did a good job of winning people's hearts. Sir Sarutobi, our mission has been successfully completed. This time all the supplies in Iwagakure village have been destroyed. Hearing Tashinyao's report, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with satisfaction. I'm very satisfied with what you have done. But what about Uchiha Hirohei and Uchiha Toru? Why didn't you come back with you? Sir Sarutobi, it's like this. Tashinyao repeated what he said before. Lost. Hey, it seems that they are more fortunate than others. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. Although he is a disciple of Senju Tobarama, he is different from his teacher. Instead, he is similar to Senju Hashirama. Sarutobi Hiruzen has nothing against the Uchiha family. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, the Uchiha family is also part of the Konoha village. Sarutobi Hiruzen is a little sad after learning that two people died. Okay, you are tired too. Go back to rest first. Since Yang Shanshuan is injured, go to the medical team to see. Yes. After a few people took orders, they all left. Goodbye everyone. After leaving the tent, Dong Shenyao looked at several people. The captain is leaving. After a battle, the relationship between the few people became a lot closer. After saying goodbye to several people, Dong 510 Shenyao returned to the special forces alone. In the camp of the Uchiha clan, several senior members of the Uchiha clan were sitting together. I got news from Sarutobi just now that the two brothers Uchiha Kohei are probably dead. Uchiha Ida said, looking at several people in the tent. How could this be? How could they both die with their strength? What happened? Did the mission fail? A Uchiha tribesman asked. If Tashinyao was here at this time, he would have recognized that it was Uchiha Ryo, who had conflicted with him, who spoke. The mission did not fail, but it was very successful. The others have already returned, except for Uchiha and Hirohei. Uchiha Ida said with a gloomy expression. If everyone else died, Uchiha Ida would not care so much, but now only the two of them are dead, which makes Uchiha Ida angry and a little puzzled at the same time, because he knows that there are other people in these two people. Task. What happened to the deputy chief? Uchiha continued to ask. Sarutobi said that the two brothers Uchiha Kohei and Tashinyao were responsible for the breakup, and then the three separated. Until now, the whereabouts of the Uchiha Kohei brothers are unknown, and they are suspected to be dead. Chapter 200 Join the War Again Part 1. Hearing Uchiha Ida's words, Uchiha Ryo's eyes flashed with light. Deputy Patriarch, do you think that Dong Shenyao secretly assassinated it? Yeah. Uchiha Ida's eyes widened immediately after hearing this. He really hadn't thought about it before. Although Dong Shenyao is only a Jonin, since he can defeat Okada Masao, his combat power is probably stronger than that of the general elite Jonin. Although the two brothers Uchiha Haoping are as powerful as the elite Jonin, they can only delay a period of time. For a while, it is inevitable to lose over time. If the two sides really fight, Dong Shenyao does have the strength to kill the two brothers Uchiha Kohei. Uchiha Ida carefully analyzed this analysis. He found that it is really possible it is so. Deputy Patriarch, we have no grudges with Dong Shenyao. Why did he kill the two brothers Uchiha Haoping? Is it Sarutobi Hiruzen's order? A Uchiha executive who obviously did not know the inside story asked. Hey, I wasn't going to tell you about this, but since this happened, I can't hide it. Uchiha Ida sighed. What the hell happened to the deputy chief? Let me talk to the deputy chief. This is Uchiha Ryo speaking again. Alright, Uchiha Ida said after staring at Uchiha Ryo for a moment. Approval of Uchiha Ida, Uchiha Ryo told what happened before. In this way, Uchiha Ping and I had a conflict with Dong Shenyao. Dong Shenyao was very arrogant and did not take our Uchiha clan seriously at all, and even beat Uchiha Ping. Because this matter is related to my Uchiha clan reputation, so the deputy chief did not tell you about it. This time, in addition to the task of destroying supplies, the two brothers Uchiha Haoping also had a secret task assigned by the deputy chief, which was to find an opportunity to kill Dong Shenyao. After listening to Uchiha Liang's remarks, several senior officials of the Uchiha clan at the scene understood why they said that the deaths of the two Uchiha brothers were related to Dong Shenyao. Uchiha Liang, are you saying that the brothers Uchiha Haoping attacked Dong Shenyao, but they were not opponents, but were killed by Dong Shenyao instead? A Uchiha executive asked. That's right, otherwise, why did the two brothers Uchiha and Haoping die alone, and the others were alright? Humph, this Dong Shenyao is so bold, not only humiliating my Uchiha clan, but also daring to kill my Uchiha clan's people, damn it. A Uchiha executive said angrily. Yes, this Dong Shenyao must die, and now I will kill him. After speaking, the man stood up and was about to walk outside the tent. Stop. At this moment, Uchiha Ida called the man directly. Kill Tashinyao, not to mention whether you can kill him or not. Even if you can, why would you kill him? Uchiha Ida asked. Of course it was to avenge the two brothers Uchiha Kohei. Vengeance. Besides us, who would believe that Uchiha and the others were killed by Tashinyao, and even we are just guessing. Hearing Uchiha Ida's words, Uchiha's executives were stunned. Indeed, they had no evidence, and it would be a bad thing for their Uchiha clan if this matter became too big. After all, if people knew that they had ordered Uchiha if the Haoping brothers assassinate Dong Shenyao, their Uchiha clan will be finished, and who would dare to perform tasks with their Uchiha clan in the future. The deputy chief, you said what should we do? Do you just watch Dong Shenyao continue to be arrogant? Of course not. Saying this, Uchiha Ida's eyes flashed with hatred. Ping's revenge, and the revenge of the two brothers Uchiha Haoping must be avenged, but this needs to be considered in the long run. Now send me someone to monitor Dong Shenyao's every move at any time, and send someone to kill him immediately if there is a chance. Uchiha Ida's tone was full of killing intent. Yes. Dong Shenyao didn't know that he had been completely targeted by the Uchiha clan, but if he knew, I'm afraid he would be happy. After all, he still has the task of beheading the Uchiha clan ninja. Come, he will be very welcome. After returning to the main camp, Yoshikawa Jiro, the commander of the special forces, quickly found Tashinyao. Dong Shenyao, is this mission going well? Fortunately, it's a pity that the two brothers Uchiha Haoping died in the hands of Iwagakure. Dong Shenyao said with a look of regret. I have to say that Dong Shenyao's performance is very good. I am afraid that no one except the Uchiha family would have thought that the two brothers Uchiha Haoping were killed by him. You don't have to blame yourself, Tashinyao. Death is inevitable, and these sacrifices are nothing compared to the results you have achieved this time. Yoshikawa Jiro persuaded. Well, I know the commander. Well, I won't disturb you. You have a good rest these few days. Although this task is over, there are still many tasks that you need to do next. Yoshikawa Jiro reminded. Don't worry, Commander, who is Dong Shenyao ready? Nodding with satisfaction, Jiro Yoshikawa turned and left without speaking. In a blink of an eye, 3 days have passed since Dong Shenyao came back. These days, Dong Shenyao has not gone anywhere, and has been staying in the special teams camp. At the same time, he also learned that during the few days he left the camp it was very calm and did not fight again with Iwagakure. On the second day after Dong Shenyao came back, there was a small conflict between the two sides. Of course, this small is only relative. Compared to the previous battle, this battle is indeed a small battle. However, even if it was just a small battle, the total number of ninjas on both sides reached 100, and each side sent 50 people to fight. The Iwagakure side was completely wiped out, and the Konoha side had less than 10 people left. This is the cruelty of war, and more than 90 people were killed or injured in just one skirmish. Tashinyao had just finished exercising this morning, but Jiro Yoshikawa actually found him again. East Shenyao has a mission. Yes, Tashinyao left without any hesitation, followed Jiro Yoshikawa. Dong Shenyao, the task this time is very simple, that is, the battle. You should have heard of the small battle 2 days ago. Today's battle is like this. We have agreed with Iwagakure that each side will send 30 soldiers. The ninjas fought, with 5 jonin each, especially 10 jonin and 15 chunin. On the way, Yoshikawa Jiro briefly introduced the mission to Tashinyao.